Looking at the list here, they think they sent a couple of groups out there at a time just to roll the track in. So I'm looking all across my list to see which.
Well, we know it's Nardelli. I just can't remember his first name off the top of my head. I want to say Lee, but I could be wrong.
No, it is 85L, so we can go with that.
Hey, what do you know? Lee Nardelli. There you go.
Boom.
Good looking car. Get out there, make a couple of laps around. Again, they're still rolling some moisture in and through. Last year, the first year in a while that this guy did not win the Friday night prelim feature. He was one of the prohibitive favorites coming into the building last year, and by our measures, yeah, successful. He ran really strong, but did not get the prelim win. It's Justin Grant. We'll see him on Friday night once again in the 2-car.
Yeah, I was looking on social media yesterday. I was kind of buzzing. There were multiple people that picked Justin Grant to win the Chili Bowl this year. I think Kyle Larson was one of those. And Justin really, really wants the Chili Bowl. 5 prelim wins. Been close a couple times. Just hasn't been able to do it. Did get a big win at the BC 39 this year. I was talking to Dave Eastep a couple weeks ago. He said they were really happy with how that 2J car ran. Later in the year, we're really happy with their West Coast swing performance. So definitely, like every year now, Justin Grant going to be one of the favorites and one of the guys that really, really feels like he's going to have a shot to win the Chili Bowl this year.
So last year, Grant on his preliminary night, as we got one stuck up in the fence. That's Hall in the 74.
Luke Hall in the 74 machine.
Wing 360 driver out of Ohio. See him a lot in NRA and Invaders action up there. From a Run for the Rabbit winner.
Caught a little bit of the slime there, I think, in 3 and 4. Got it a little loose and lightly backed it into the wall. Nothing too crazy.
So last year, Grant, second on his preliminary night, won his heat race. Ended up trailing Logan Seavey for the entirety of the main event on Friday night, which was really the first glance of, wow, Logan really has a lot this year. And then on Saturday, Grant ends up taking position 10 after starting 10th, so quite literally did not come forward from where he was.
It's crazy to think. I know Christopher Bell said it one year that there is not a race in the country that's as win or lose as the Chili Bowl. So I think whenever a guy like Justin comes in, I mean, you think there's 365 cars here last year, and Justin ran 10th, was probably disappointed with that. That tells you how good Justin is and how good that RMS program is. So, for sure, excited to see what Justin can do this week. Looking to get back to prelim victory lane and maybe finally get that first golden driller that he's been after for so long. There's a look at Tom Harris in that 97K.
That car is sick.
You said it's your favorite one of the ones you've seen so far. It's hard to
pretty good looking.
Hard to argue against it. But Tom, a native of the United Kingdom that just loves coming to the Chili Bowl. We don't see him run a whole lot in the U.S. throughout the year. Well, I think he'll climb in a sprint car occasionally. But man, he makes a point to come to Chili Bowl, and it is always fun to watch.
Put a bow on the Justin Grant conversation. He now has 7 A feature starts. Career best of second in 2021. 23rd, 3rd, 7th, 3rd, 2nd, 16th, and 10th over those starts. So he's got a pretty good track record of success. We'll see where he ends up getting to. As we roll back, of course, the Tom Harris car we just talked about. Harris, boy, that's a really good setup for him again with Keith Kunz Motorsports going on Friday night. Good looking car, good crew. We know he can get the job done behind the seats, so we'll see how he fires off and gets her going. Should be Pierce Urbanowski?
Pierce Urbanowski, yes, sir. Driver of the car number 19U, Longview, Texas native. See him run a lot with the POWRi West Series in Oklahoma. And there's one of the Tanner Thorson Racing entries, one of 3 TTR cars for the first time at the Chili Bowl, the Smith Tie sponsored 28. This is Ace McCarthy, multi-time POWRi National Midget winner from Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Very successful owner of 2-8 Drilling, which you see on his race car. Ace doesn't run as much as he used to. Used to run midgets anywhere between 20 and 30 times a year. Scaled back a little bit to focus on business, but always a lot of fun to watch whenever he does get in the car, and he's working with one of his best friends in Tanner Thorson.
We got a chance to go out during this week in between. We actually visited the home of where the Thorson cars are worked on, Smith Titanium, and saw him thrashing on cars during the week as well. So eye-opening, got to see a lot there as our defending Chili Bowl champion.
Victory Fuel 39, sponsor of Logan Seavey. in the Kevin and Jordan Swindell owned car. Of course, a partnership with Bertrand Motorsports.
Those are good power plants in
Yeah,
those cars.
man.
Tim's done a good job of making sure that the right power is underneath those hoods. Get a lot of chance to talk about Logan during the week. Did not have the Tulsa shootout he was after, but this is definitely a place to where he'll make his mark.
Don't think that the Tulsa shootout performance by Logan Seavey is any kind of a sample size as to what you're going to get. This is a full different ball game for Logan Seavey.
As they rip around and make some laps here in this practice session. Want to welcome everybody who's watching around the world on Facebook Live, little free preview. So hello out there in social media land. Caleb Hart, Connor Wade with you. We would love to interact with you, by the way, as you're watching along Facebook, Twitter, whatever, as you're getting your first look at some of these cars in their hot lapping sessions. As once again, there is the beautiful 97 of Tom Harris rolling around the high groove.
All those KTM cars we walked by yesterday, man, they all look really, really good this year.
One of the Kokomo Joe's CSM entries, the 72.
Sam Johnson has kind of started to focus on micro sprints the last couple of years. We don't see him in a midget a ton, but he's been close to making the feature here at the Chili Bowl before. It was a B-main car. I think missed it by 1 or 2 spots probably 4 or 5 years ago, but so Logan Seavey heads up the ramp, so he went out earlier and then comes out here, and we won't see we'll see the 39 on track in the O'Reilly Race of Champions tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But really, aside from the Race of Champions, which I don't think Guys really uses a huge, way to prepare for their prelim run, we won't see Logan on track till Friday. So
he's got a week to do whatever he wants.
A couple quick practice sessions, and if you're not in the Race of Champions, well, we'll see you on your prelim night. Next session rolls down the ramp and on to the racetrack.
Original list of Race of Champions had 16 cars out and eligible, and then a late little addition to make her push her up to 18. Logan has the option to be a part of that if they want to come out and run. So, spot has been afforded them, and we know that team loves data.
Yes.
So I would expect them to make their laps on Monday night.
A lot of storylines revolving the 39 team, of course, with Logan, but Kevin Swindell also, and all that Kevin's accomplished in this building. We got plenty of time this week to talk about that, so we won't get into all the good details right now. But we'll just say watch that 39 car, I guess, to put a bow on Logan Seavey's.
It's hard not to,
yeah.
Right? He draws a lot of eyeballs naturally, no matter what he does. So next group makes their way out into the racetrack, and as you can see, that moisture has definitely sunk into the track. Looks awfully good out there as drivers able to put their cars wherever. Track crew, long, busy week in between re-grooming, re-watering, re-prepping, as this thing's got to hold up to hundreds and hundreds of laps here over the course of this week.
That's the 2014 Glenn James Brady. We saw him in competition during the Tulsa shootout just a little over a week ago.
Multiple-time heat race winner over the course of the shootout. Had a good event for him. Following him up, and at corner number 1, the Eibach sponsored number 97.
Man, this kid right here improved tremendously, perhaps more than anybody that ran midgets full-time in 2023. Broke through for a big USAC win during Indiana Midget Week at Bloomington, and man, so I covered the Extreme Outlaw Midget Series in 2023, and every night this kid would get better and better, and he went from a car that was top 10 to, all right, now he's contending for the podium. Now he's contending to win races. Finally got 2 big wins there later in the year. G. Milley in the 97, his first Chili Bowl with KKM, I believe, is second or third overall. Big year for Gavin Miller in that 97 with KKM.
It's not like you get any sleepers out of Keith Goods Motorsports.
Exactly, yeah.
But at the same time, good one to keep your eye on come his prelim night.
Henry Chambers, Chili Bowl rookie this year from Baldwin City, Kansas, in the 1H as they throw the green flag. This is session number 37. Remember, we went 1 through 40, then going 37 to 1. I'm sorry, 40 to 1 after that. So
in backwards order, a little bit of smoke coming out of his car.
Still a lot of laps to be made around the Expo today. Is that J-Mac McDougal?
Sure looks like it.
In the 38. Many-time Tulsa shootout driller winner, had a really remarkable run through the soup a couple of years ago as Henry Chambers goes around right in front of us there in the middle of turns 3 and 4.
You saw that car starting to smoke real
Yeah.
bad coming through the corner, and you wonder something let loose, and he just spun around, ducked her there to try to get off racetrack or what.
I'll tell you what, there is just nothing. I mean, we spent a lot of time in this building throughout the shootout, but then we walked in today. There is just nothing like watching and hearing midgets rip around this building.
Said it from the parking lot because on the outside
Yeah.
end, it's like, oh, midgets are here. All right.
Just something about it.
100% agree on that one. There is nothing quite like it. If you guys have never been down here for Chili Bowl Nationals, you got to make it some year.
Yeah.
We'll have every lap here for you on Flow Racing, but you got to get to the arena. The magic in the building is a palpable thing.
Let's
It's
get
incredible.
let's get some interaction.
Yeah.
We want to know if you guys have any questions for us, any Chili Bowl memories you want to bring down. That's one of my favorite parts of Chili Bowl. You know, you talk to people that you see once a year at this event. They'll be like, "Hey, remember that Chili Bowl 5 years ago when so and so went out and did this, and Cochran did this, and blah 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 blah." Sending
Yep.
us Alex Shakes, all that stuff. So, if you have any cool Chili Bowl memories or any questions for us, tweet us, Facebook us, Connor Wade 66, Caleb Hart 83. Let us know. We'd love to interact with you here on this practice day.
Put a K in my first name. It'll work way better for you.
Perfect.
Now back to action we go. Good look at McDougall. New ride for him. Australian car owners, the Whites. Got a lot of folks rooting for him down under here this year. So let's look back a little bit. One of the Reinbold cars out for this one, the 19A, and boy, does that camp look loaded and ready for pair.
A lot of really, really good race cars, some diverse talent throughout the field. Of course, some good sprint car and midget shoes, but then you break into the late model world with Ricky Thornton Jr. running a Reinbold car, and then even into the outlaw kart world with Carson Perkins and I think the 19P. So I'm excited to see what Reinbold Underwood can do. Hayden got a big win on the final night of the Means Memorial at I-44 this year, and another guy that had a really strong year in terms of improving just behind the wheel of a midget on a night-to-night basis, just being really consistent. So Hayden ought to be good this week.
I've heard a lot of rumors coming out of that camp about what future plans look like for Hayden and some of the team in particular. And there are only rumors. It's not my position to tell everybody what's going on, but he could have a really interesting career path coming up here as far
very
as behind the wheel of the race car goes.
It's I think it'll be pretty notable. So I don't like you said, I don't really know what all of it's true, if and when it'll come out. But yeah, stay tuned.
They're strong rumors, and I believe my sources, but at the same time, that's their information to give out, and we'll let them give it out whenever they're ready.
For sure.
Next, small group of cars coming down the ramp. Well, there's a few more of them out there than I thought with. Is get a look at the ramp cam. It is empty. Thanks everybody for reaching out already and interacting. Cannon Posey saying hello.
Ooh, problems for Jason McDoodle getting having that car towed off.
Yeah, rear pick. I don't see anything hanging off there, but at the same time, not a great way to start for Jason, who had a miserable run of luck during the Tulsa shootout.
Yeah,
it
barely
seems
even.
to either go one way or the other for him.
It really does. Sometimes both at the same time too. But hate to see that. We've got some friends back in the pit area. I think Earl Hoon's walking around. Maybe he can figure out what happened to McDoodle. New ride for the 2006 Chili Bowl champion Tim McCready. He is in the Hayward Motorsports 19, a deal that kind of came together pretty recently. Timmy, the former World of Outlaw late model champion, two-time Lucas Oil late model champion, and
You know, talk about a guy last year whose bowl did not start particularly well.
Yeah.
He really had to scrap and claw his way back and through. And I'm trying to remember if that was a Friday night, Thursday night.
remember he had that heat race with Kaylee Bryson. I don't think Kaylee knew who he was. She was like, yeah, that guy was making it really, really hard on me.
Really hard.
But excited to see what Tim can do in that 19 machine. Of course, he'll be in the O'Reilly Auto Parts International Race of Champions tomorrow night. So he fires off. Michael Pickens, new ride for him. Seen him bounce around a little bit the last couple of years. He was with RMS, was with Dave Mack. And his first Chili Bowl partnership with Abacus Racing, one of the newer midget racing teams that's had a good amount of success in the short time they've been around. And excited to see what the Kiwi can do in that car. If you remember last year, it was Tuesday night, I believe. He had a really intense battle with Hank Davis going on.
Did, and that was one of the fantastic parts of last year's show, the miracle from out of nowhere of Hank Davis coming out and taking the Tuesday night prelim night and out racing a lot of good cars in order to do it. was a fun Tuesday night. Never know what you're going to expect when you get here to the bowl.
McCready, just looking back at my notes, I didn't realize this. I forgot. Actually went 24th to 11th in the Chili Bowl last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And again, after scrambling on his prelim,
Yeah.
because we had talked to him on practice day last year, and it was a despondent, dejected, what am I doing here, Tim McCready, that his week turned around in a big hurry.
It did. It was his first feature start at the Bowl since 2016. So McCready trying to do that once again, maybe even crack the top 10 this year as car goes around. That is the 35K of Joey Plemish from Cortez, Colorado. Everybody had to hop on the binders to avoid him.
Nice save from the entirety of the field. Meanwhile, get a look at the 45X of Jace Park.
Another impressive shootout for Jace. Comes into his second Chili Bowl.
One of a fleet of Johnny Herrera cars hanging out here. We saw he's got 5, 6 of them hanging out in his camp this year.
I saw Jace run probably for the first time in 2020, and I always thought the kid was good, but something about watching him the last year, this kid's got some potential. Watch out. He's going to do some sprint car stuff with Herrera this year. I think they'll do a mixture of probably Outlaws, High Limit, just, whatever falls into place schedule-wise. I think the world might be in for something from Jace Park.
I think your timing is just about right, and that's one of the interesting storylines coming into this open wheel 2024 season is there's a lot of opportunity out there for a lot of drivers, depending on what path they choose to go. Jace Park's going to be one of those who's going to have an opportunity, and we'll see what he can do with it as we're back underway.
Some contact right there, I think. Shane Cottle, this Illinois, the 5X. New Chili Bowl ride for him this year.
Can never count out a veteran like Cottle, who's got so many laps here, has seen everything there is to throw at you. One of the 268 cars from the Gardner camp, I think that is Ronnie's 68 if I'm looking at it right.
Ronnie himself, and I believe that's Andrew Felker ahead of him. Yep, sure is.
You can always tell Felker he's got a very bright, distinctive 11 car.
Former POWRi National and West Midget champion is Felker. Ronnie Gardner not also very good behind the wheel, but has really become known as one of the top wrenches in the non-winged world, be it sprint cars or midgets. So,
an incredibly good motor guy.
Yeah, for
Worked
sure.
wrestling her for a while. Look at Don Drought Jr., the former 18 billion time NCRA champion. I'm close on that number, right?
Gotta be, right?
Gotta be somewhere in there. As that group of cars makes their way up, more people checking in. Families watching at home already in a cold Eastern Washington today. Hello, Dad. Thank you. Thanks for watching before we have the Seahawks go live and lose. It'll make your day better, I promise.
Another session rolls down the ramp. We'll look at Bryant Wiedemann, one of several CB Industries entries this week. Ryan Timms. Tim should have a big week. We'll have a lot of eyes on him, of course. Very, very good in the winged sprint car and midget ranks. Ran a full USAC season with KTM. Got a win at the little track at Belleville. I mean, what a historic place to win a midget race, right? And Ryan Timms did that. A couple of extreme wins.
I think that's
really tough.
I think that's another one of your opportunity guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, with everything that's opening up around the world, Timms is going to be one of those guys that's in a really good position to just jump forward and take advantage of what he's got going on.
Josh Boffman, I believe, in the 17H. Is that Boffman?
No, I thought Boffman had the carbon fiber.
Yeah, you're right. He's
car.
17B.
Same.
That's Harley White.
Yes.
Lindsay, Oklahoma native, 17H. My bad.
For a few years there, held the record as the highest finishing female in Chili Bowl history. That has been eclipsed since then. So Harley needs reset her record, right?
For sure,
Come back and go after it. Shout out to Max Ramsey, who said he saw the two of us at the kart show at Shawnee a couple of days ago.
Yep.
We had a good time there. Thanks, Max.
Reese Womack in 33W on your screen.
Womack's got the H-style halo design on that car, which I really like. It's just enough to be... And he's got a mohawk on his helmet, too, which is kind of cool.
He is set.
Just enough to be restrictive and help keep things out, and yet at the same time open enough that you can get forward in that seat and still get out of the top of it. So Appreciate that style halo design on these cars. Oh, big tail tank special on the Zero.
Tyler Harris, that 0J.
That's like a sprint car sized tank on that guy. He is set to run 100 no matter where he goes.
Wesley Smith in the 44X.
Nixa, Oklahoma?
Nixa, Missouri.
Nixa, Missouri, sorry.
Very good in the non-wing sprint car
Gonna-
contingent in the Missouri area. Runs a lot of war stuff.
I saw that.
Always very good.
Remember that?
And usually fairly competitive here at the Chili Bowl as well. One of the legendary Corey Kruzman entries that's graced the presence of many at the Expo for many years. Of course, Corey having so much success, getting inducted into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame last year, I believe it was. And
Deservedly so.
yep, Gage Rucker is the driver of that particular Kruzman entry.
Sharp-looking cars that they've put together this year, and they've got a good fleet of them as well.
As always, Josh Hodge out of Pittsboro, Indiana, 5J.
Green lights are on around the arena again. No live timing scoring because they're not hooking up transponders. So we'll just have to give them the old eyeball test and say, that guy's fast, that guy's making good laps.
Hodge way high up there, nearly died into the wall. There's Brian Wiedemann, former Power Imaging champion, switched over to CB Industries for 2023 and had a good year with Chad. Nutrien Ag Solutions, the sponsor of that car.
Looks pretty well balanced around there, although
Yeah.
I haven't saw the wheel hard off the bottom of turn number 2.
Ryan Tibbs in the 67 machine.
Cuts his way all the way up to the cushion into the fluffy stuff, hits the hammer. Drives forward. Tim's making some good laps. He's looking awfully comfortable in that ride early on. As we should be getting close to the point where we're transitioning from Friday to Thursday, I would think. Getting closer.
Hey, there's our guy. He'll be in the broadcast booth with us this week. Clinton Boyle is in the 11B. Should have him tomorrow night through Thursday night. I think he makes his prelim run on Friday.
Got a chance to talk to him yesterday in the pit area. Calm and confident, I would say Clinton is. Knows how to get himself in position, just needs to get the job done when he gets there. So, Clinton Boyles in car number 11. Single car operation, and I don't know on Clinton's sake if that's something that he actually enjoys a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, he gets to keep all the information to himself,
I think, yeah.
proprietary, right? So
Makes
we're
sense.
going to take a quick timeout. We will be back with more coming up here from practice here at the Chili Bowl Nationals. Live coverage of practice day continues here from the Chili Bowl Nationals, the 38th annual Chili Bowl Midget Nationals here on Flow Racing. He's Connor Wade, I'm Caleb Hartz, and providing you just a little bit of flavor as these drivers get out there and get what is their second practice session of the day in, as we're counting down from 40 all the way down to 1. We'll be with you for a few more hours here on the broadcast, letting you know the little things that we know and kind of setting the stage for tomorrow's Chili Bowl Nationals. Every lap of it live. Prelim night number 1, your Monday night edition, as well as the O'Reilly coming up tomorrow. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Invitational Race Champions to be carried here live on Flow Racing. Speaking of stuff that we're going to be talking about over the course of this, you see the My Race Pass sponsorship on our 32S car. We will be using My Race Pass frequently. That's the official live timing and scoring of the Chili Bowl Nationals, and we encourage you guys to download the app. The My Race Pass app is in the Google Store or the Apple Store as well. We're also going to have the dirt draft going on.
Oh, yeah.
Between us. That's right.
I believe there's some cash
There
that
might
is,
be.
attached to that.
So
Between
here's
us,
the big news coming out of last year is that producer Tyler McKim was the national dirt draft champion for the Chili Bowl, and we have been staked to not let him repeat.
we
So
can't do it.
Yeah, the inner competition amongst just the Flow staff to knock him off is going to be gigantic. You remember, I think Wilner was second,
close,
and then
yeah.
forgot to submit his picks coming into like one of the last days.
Oh, come on, Wilner.
It happens.
Chase Stockton, 3-time MSCS Sprint Car champion. They're in that MRP-sponsored 32S. So is this the tail end of the Friday cars, or is this beginning of Thursday?
I think we're still tail end of Friday. Santino Ferrucci is out there in the 16, one of the Dave McDalby entrances this year. Had a lot of fun with Santino in the booth when he came by last year.
Oh,
for his-
Santino's a great guy. Man, I was pulling so hard for him to win the Indy 500 this past year. He was really, really close, closest he's ever been. Had a shot on the last restart, too. Was in it the entire race.
It's as close as I've paid attention to the 500 in a number of
Yeah.
years, just because you start getting these guys who are now coming to play in our world.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's give them the brush back and take a look at them, see what they do in their world as you get a look at Noah Gass in the 20.
So as we wind down these Friday cars, let's talk about Friday a little bit. It's still pretty far away, but
Yep.
it was the was the Justin Grant show for many years, as we mentioned, and then Logan Seavey breaking through for a win last year. And it's probably going to be those two again, but there's still going to be several good cars that are trying to sneak in there and take down those 2 guys, because remember, the top 2 from the prelims lock into Saturday's field.
Yeah, I expect that you're going to have a lot of eyeballs on those top 2, but it's a good field. It's a deep field. Just in seeing a number of these drivers who have been out here and competing with us in this run. I mean, Clinton was top point guy for a while, sat on the pole of that main event. So we know he can get the job done. Stocken's a good racer, amongst others, as Ferrucci ends up spinning out here down the front straightaway and getting a quick yellow flag. Every night is got its own unique twist to it this year.
It does, yeah.
The field seems well spread and balanced
Yeah, I would
in
agree.
terms of top end power plus bulk through the rest of the crowd. Again, eyeballs by and large will be on Logan versus Grant on Friday night to really put that last little on top of what the week is going to be.
Right.
But don't be shocked. I mean, we've seen drivers come up and make big Friday night things happen for themselves
Yep.
that have set themselves up well. Tanner Thorson ran on Friday night when he won. Ended up second, came through your Do It for Grady pole shuffle, and ended up taking the win on that one. Now he's back to Thursday night here this year. Remember Darren Pittman from about 6-7
Yep.
years ago with that monster Friday night that set up him really well for it going forward. So
Brian Clausen won on Friday night the year he won the Chili Bowl as well. And Friday night was always BC's night. I think he won it 3 years in a row or so. Chad Boat, also former Friday night winner. Shane Cottle, former Friday night winner. He's going to be running on Friday night this week. So really never know what you could see.
green flag back out on this practice session. One of the Jeff Stossenkamp cars out there on the track. And checkered flag is out of the session. Saw Kyle Steffens and his midget as well. Out on the track. Steffens, a real well-known modified racer from the Midwest.
Very, very good. And he usually runs this event, but he'll run it for somebody else. And he's actually in his own 8S. And I saw him earlier today. I was like, when the heck did you get a midget? He's like, well, actually about 5 days ago.
Yeah.
So it came together very late for him to run this car. You see him on your screen right there. And then they worked really, really hard just to get that car ready the last couple of days for him to come and make a run. He said, I feel like I've always sucked here before. This year's going to be different.
He is the preeminent engine shipper in the
Yes.
industry right now. You need an engine to go from X to Y, and in how many days? Kyle has been the guy on that for years now.
Very good in the modifieds as well as the Silver Crown cars.
See if he can make an impact here this week. As again, just should be stretching into our Thursday night cars now. Kind of going in backwards order again. So we went 1 to 40 in practice sessions from Monday through Friday here in the morning session. And now, relatively fresh racetrack, we're going Friday to Monday in backwards order and coming through.
This will be session 33 in the backwards order. A couple of notable names to talk about in this one. You see one of them rolling down the ramp right there, and that's the aforementioned Darren Pittman.
Welcome back, Darren Pittman. Be nice to have him rocking and rolling with us once again.
Car number 8L, that is Kurt Blackaby out of Bentonville, Arkansas.
Flying the BA Lawn and Garden sponsorship. We know that's Jonathan Beeson. Beeson got out, was one of the drivers who got some practice laps at the Port City Raceway that we went out and saw.
That's right.
Thursday afternoon. Cold, but valuable for those guys.
Adam Bolliard in the 4. Yeah, a couple Hard 8 racing teammates for Beeson this year. Of course, Blackaby, but Cooper Williams joining that stable as well. Beeson ran last year's Chili Bowl for CB Industries, and back in the old Esslinger-powered Hard 8 car that we're so used to seeing him run around this building.
Familiarity, a good thing for a lot of drivers around here. Want to welcome in to the broadcast Jesse Collins, watching from Orlando. Tuned in all week. Hello, Jesse.
Chris Cochran in the Rougeau Racers 42. Cochran, a very, very notable name in the micro sprint world in the state, former Driller winner.
Weird that we didn't see him at the Tulsa
It
Shootout
was very
this year.
weird, yeah.
Had a lot of those traditional Indiana guys that we didn't see. Cochran wasn't there. Ron Dennis wasn't around.
You'll get guys, they'll take a year off from the shootout every couple of years, and again, it's a long week, right? It's and a lot of preparation required. So you take a year off from the shootout, come back strong. It's totally understandable.
Depending on how the calendar falls with holidays and such like that, and what obligations
That's a big
you
part
have.
of it, too.
It is. It's gonna be interesting next year with the shootout being so deep in the month, and subsequently pushing Chili Bowl back another little ways further than what it normally is.
Chase Osterhoff, Kankakee, Illinois native.
Jeff Hankin is watching in. Enjoyed his first Chili Bowl last year. Thanks for tuning in, Jeff.
Caleb, what year is it?
2024.
It's hard to believe it's 2024, and look at that. The Dueling 63 is back on the racetrack at the Chili Bowl. Cale Coons behind the wheel. This is something I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, Joe Dueling's taken a couple years off from owning midgets after one of the most successful careers as an owner in the history of midget racing, and all the legends that have driven that 63 car. Most notably, Brian Clausen picking up a Chili Bowl win in this building in that car. And to see Cale in it after his dad Jerry also had a lot of success, really, really cool to see.
There's a lot of nostalgia going on right there. We'll see how he does as these cars come up to speed. As we're closing in on about 25% through the afternoon practice session here. Track's in great shape, too. Whatever they're doing to it to keep it up and consistent for all these drivers looks really good. Cale Coons looking pretty smooth out there in the Dueling 63.
He does. Chili Bowl debut. Former podium finisher at the Chili Bowl, former World of Outlaws champion. This is Darren Pittman. Stepped away from Wing Sprinter racing a couple years ago. He'll get the car a couple times throughout the year, but always a favorite here at the Chili Bowl for sure.
Owner-operator of Ultra Shield Seats. Got a bunch of product on display out in his pit area. Took a look at it yesterday.
And one of the nicest guys, too.
Easy to talk to about that stuff.
If you're in the racing industry and you're looking to maybe make some safety improvements or changes and you're just not sure who to talk to, there's a lot of very educated and very nice people in that part of the industry. But Darren Pittman is definitely one. He'll answer any phone call, shake any hand necessary to help you out. Darren's truly one of the good guys of this sport.
He's got a real passion for that portion of the industry as well. He did his homework before picking up Ultra Shield and continues to build a better product year in and year out.
And you work on you work on the parts side, so it's different than the safety side, but you work on the business side of this industry, the selling products part. And you realize the people aren't always pretty. It's not always, it can get ugly sometimes, but Darren Pittman is not one of those guys.
There is definitely people that you enjoy dealing with vastly more than others, and every time you put in a ping to Darren or his wife or anybody that's working there for that company, it is a enjoyable experience. So as we move forward even more, that session done.
Session 32 will be out.
slowly rolling down the ramp. We've got all kinds of great contingency sponsors and such like that with us this week, and we'll roll those out coming tomorrow afternoon when the first practice laps of Chili Bowl prelim night number 1 take the air here on Flow Racing. Excited to have you guys in with us for the entire week. On top of that, today, here our practice session, we're going for another couple hours, but we're rolling into the Wild West Shootout tonight.
Absolutely. Get to watch some fenders.
That's right. That'll be cool. That was a good feature last night.
Yeah. Cool to see Kay Dillard get a win. Dylan Menz, the Queensland native, coming for Dave Mack Motorsports this week, Chili Bowl. Dave Mack Dalby Motorsports, of course. Jim Booma. Hope I'm saying that right, but that is the hometown.
Ooh, let's look.
Jim Booma? That's what it looks like.
Where are we? We're on that one right there.
Yeah.
I think Jim Booma is exactly right.
It's fun to say.
I know a good chunk of the Australian towns, but I've never heard of that one before. That's small at best. That looks like Shaylee Bade out there, if I'm correct. Shaylee 305 racer out of the Nebraska area. Mr. Banquet last night to try to get here loaded in for the practice session. So she'll be out and rolling around.
We're going to see Emerson Axum in this practice group. We'll talk about him in a little bit later on, but there's the Brian and Mike Dunlap-owned 32 machine, Rattlesnake Bend, Arizona's Casey Schumann.
Promoter of the I-70 Speedway.
Sarah's done a lot in this industry. Post-driving career was obviously very good behind the wheel, but he's been the series director. He's promoted different series. He's done really a nice job, and Casey, one of the good guys of this industry.
And he's had his hands in War. He's had his hands in World of Outlaws
late
late models. Now I-70. Ryan Showalter tweeted in and said, make sure you talk about how rusty Casey Schumann is, but don't tell him that I said to say that. Well, sorry, Ryan, you're busted there. Although it shakes off awfully quick when you got as many laps as Shu does.
It sure does. 24S Rodney Westhafer, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania driver. 600cc performance on the side of that 24S midget.
Well, let's light them up. Green flag out once again, another practice session. Final ride for the Bondio cars this year is 47 on track. That is Brad Mosen out of Auckland. One of a handful of New Zealand drivers coming over to join us. And Brad can get a race car around the track too, so he's going to be no slouch in that.
Emerson Axum, fresh off his 4th career Tulsa Shootout driller, his 3rd in the Premier Division Winged Outlaw. He's ran the Chili Bowl before. He started the feature, but this is his first with KKM. And Emerson going to be very, very hungry this week.
We're both in agreement that of your guys that could be massive breakout stars for this race, Emerson Axum is on that short list. That's a good combination of talent, crew, and car.
And the heart that it takes to win in this
yes,
building.
It does.
We've seen that.
Jesse Love, who had himself a good week as well. Not quite as good as Emerson Axum, but still also in a good position with a good crew and a good team.
For his first Tulsa Shootout, I thought Jesse did well. I think he was buried a little bit further back in some of the soup than he would have liked. But Saturday, Sunday, even Friday night, whenever he started getting into the soup, he really performed well, I thought.
You know, it's weird the way that the shootout is laid out. Like, if you get yourself buried here at the bowl, you do still have a legitimate chance to drive your way out of it.
Yeah.
We've seen that multiple times between guys in the past. Rico has driven his way out of it. Kyle's driven his way out of it. Tim McCready drove his way out of it last year to make a big, gigantic run, right? The shootout seems to be a harder event to dig yourself out of a hole at.
Tough to do, for sure.
And I don't know if that's just the sheer bulk of race cars and the bulk of good race cars across the boards there, but it just seems to be a little bit tougher once you're behind there to catch back up.
Format's a little different too, because you come out of the soup, you have to skip a qualifier. So essentially, if you're in like a D or an E, the best you can do is start at the back of a B. So I think the format part kind of hurts your chances a little bit too. But that's how you have to have the format with as many race cars as there are.
Waiting in the process of narrowing down 1,700 entries to get down to 624 car main events, right? As opposed to, where do we end up at? 370?
371?
371 on the unofficial count right now. So 5 nights to narrow down 370 drivers into a slate of main events for Saturday to get to 24. It is just a little bit different of a process for cutting and trimming. As we take a look, we've got more cars on the track. We looked at this thing yesterday going through, and
You liked it.
That reflective red on it,
Yeah.
it's real nice.
That's Zach Blurton out of Quinter, Kansas, to Z Machine.
It doesn't show so great right now as I'm looking at it, but it's got a real shine, a real reflective quality to it.
Yeah, if
that's
you're
a
in the-
really good looking race car up close.
If you're in the building, they're towards the end of the aisle on the left. If you're looking, if you have your back to the track,
main row, all the way about 2/3 of the way down the left hand side.
yeah, most of the way down. They were kind
See,
of
now you can see a little bit of that glimmer in it. That's just a really good looking race car. Kudos to that team.
for sure. So
Clean.
Blurton can do. JD Blatt, Grain Valley, Missouri native, on track in 7JR.
Talk about a guy that's won a lot of races under the radar over
Yeah.
the years. JD, very good without a wing on.
Yeah, for sure. '22S. This is AJ Johnson from Oskaloosa, Iowa.
Home of the Front Row Challenge.
You been to Oski yet?
I've been to Oski twice.
So I went back in 2013 and have been longing to go back since. I think this year I might finally get to do it.
Last
It's
time-
it's a cool racetrack.
Last time I was there, 2016, Kyle was there running the Paul Silva car and ended up encountering a Ute tire in the inside of turn number 3. And I don't know why that's the thing I remember the most from that night. It's just what I did.
So it's actually a better memory than my first time there. When I was there in 2013, it unfortunately was the night Tony Stewart broke his leg.
Ooh.
So that was a tough one to watch for sure. Got to see John Stambro win in the USAC Mountain Sprint car the following night. But yeah, AJ Johnson from Oskaloosa, Iowa. We saw Will Armitage there on the track. He was really biking around through turns 3 and 4, so we'll see if he can kind of settle things down. There's 17D Cody Trammell.
Racetrack's starting to get some character into it, as you can see some slick in and through, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't come out, give her a little bit heavier watering here sometime soon. 31D Miles Doherty from Delmar, Iowa. Strong Iowa contingent of cars here. One final look at Blurton as he'll make his way off the track till the lights are on. Good afternoon to Joseph Shivak. Tuning in, getting ready for 7 days of action, counting today. Dalton Bishop, watching. Ooh, getting ready to grill some stuff.
I love grilling.
Oh, it's a good thing. We've eaten really well this week.
We have.
And he's
So,
rooting on Clinton, so
Heck yeah.
points for Dalton.
Clinton's an easy guy to root for.
Yes, he is. Excited to have him in the booth. We're going to do our best. We are going to have a drivers only segment at
Looking
some
forward to
point this
that.
week. Right now, tentatively scheduled for
I
Thursday
think Thursday during qualifying.
for the qualifiers. That's the key. We don't know who everybody is going to be in it yet, but there will definitely be some popular names. Clinton will be here to make sure that the crowd is gathered up and still talking about the racing.
I think we can say Dylan Welch will be on it.
We
for
can
sure.
absolutely say Dylan's going to be here. I'm looking forward to see Dylan's practice session. We got to see him mount that seat up yesterday.
New ride for him.
Yep.
He's never driven a King chassis before, so yeah, definitely some new stuff for Dylan this week. But he will be in a part of that drivers only broadcast on Thursday.
And of all things, it was happening on Big Al's birthday.
that is very true.
Jim Childers, if you're watching, that one was for you.
Yep.
Hello, Chili.
There's the 80 machine, 80H, I should say. Josh Hanna from Flint, Texas. Tulsa Plumbing on the side of that machine. Some TRD power.
Left front beadlock on that car. If you take a look at it, you see that extra ring around the wheel on the left front?
Very unique.
Yeah, so left front beadlock, you'll see guys run that, and the reason you do that is it's harder to knock the wheel off the tire off the wheel by running that beadlock. So it's a strength thing. It adds rotating weight to the car, so you're effectively slowing yourself down, but somebody's going to run you over on the left, you got a much better chance of keeping going with that beadlock on. So if you see that ring, it's called the beadlock ring. They are particularly popular here at the indoor events where things get a little bit more physical.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It made sense, especially with as big of a berm as we'll see at this racetrack sometimes, and as physical as things can be. It made sense to run that because that left front tire is probably going to take the beating throughout the week.
At risk.
Yeah.
Yep.
To our machine, the Avani Windows and Doors sponsored car, that's Matt Rossi. This is session number 30. First, we went 1 through 40 this morning. We're going 40 through 1 this afternoon.
They must have gotten the air filter guard done late on that one as they go with the unpowder coated aluminum just bolted into the hood there. I'm an aesthetics guy. I like a car
Right,
that's
yeah.
got all of everything clean and matching its color, and it just kind of jumps out at me. Now they could take it out and rattle can it in the cold Tulsa air, although today's a nice Tulsa day.
Really
right?
nice, really
Considering
nice.
how cold it was yesterday, today is beautiful.
Landon Crawley in the 17C, Benton, Arkansas, has a bid 2024 lined up. He'll be full-time on the Outlaw Tour with Jason Sides.
Going out on the road for Landon, exciting for him.
Really looking forward. I get to have a kind of extended conversation with him on Tuesday, and I'm really interested in learning more about the kid. His father, Tim Crawley,
Tim's got a lot of
And-
character for a soft-spoken
Yeah.
guy.
for sure, and very, very good wheelman in the South in the 360 range. And
Oh, yeah.
Landon did ASCS a couple of years back, so it's going to be a really interesting year. Let's see if he can kick it off right here at the Chili Bowl. There's Lane Goodman in the 10J, and a bite there from Josh Boffman in the 17B. Boffman coming back to the Chili Bowl for the first time in a little bit.
Boffman's got a really sharp-looking car, although right now he's having to rope her around a little bit. Boffman, who has been good in 360 competition, he's had some good results in Wing 410 stuff, back at the bowl once again.
Christopher Townsend in that 45T, the Texas native, working side by side with Ryan Paget in 98P.
Paget gets down to the bottom, finds his car working out okay down there. Driver's not necessarily out there racing, but you're going to see them making passes and trying to get around where they can. As the 31 a B on the track, that's Chase Johnson for Pengrove, California. Guy who is also a versatile and talented
Yeah.
racer out on our West Coast between wing sprint cars. He has won races out in midgets out there for the Josh Ford's Motorsports crew and more. That guy can get a car around.
Always
Well,
enjoyed watching Chase. Very, very talented driver. He's come to the Chili Bowl several times, has started it 3 times. So he's in that Dave.com Bielman-owned 31B. Was 8th in the Chili Bowl back in 2018. Was Johnson.
He can get a car around.
Yeah.
Like that's a if you're still filling out your fantasy drafts and such like that, your dirt draft, it's a good guy to keep on your radar when it comes time. So as we're watching cars come down the ramp, we're going to take a quick time out. We'll have more from practice day at the 38th annual Chili Bowl Midget Nationals on Flow Racing. Practice day continues here on Flow Racing, the 38th annual Chili Bowl Midget Nationals here on Flow. And you know, Connor, all week long, our coverage here on Flow is going to be powered by NOS Energy Drink.
I think I'm probably going to have me a couple NOSes this week.
I'm
Get
excited.
through the week. Haven't had I can't believe I went through the entire shootout. I don't think I had a single NOS, but definitely going to have to change that for Chili Bowl week to get me through it. Looking forward to maybe cracking a couple Nitro Mangoes with maybe the Matt Wood Racing team up there. They've always got a bunch of them that they're willing to.
I enjoy the
Sure.
fact that they relaunched a zero sugar version.
Yep.
That is a good thing. Thank you to the powers that be there at NOS. That way I can continue to enjoy your product for those of us who are, well, you know, insulin deficient.
Cool to see them really step up and expand their partnership with the Chili Bowl this year. Obviously,
Yeah.
they've been kind of a contingent sponsor the last couple of years, but this year it is the Chili Bowl Nationals presented by NOS Energy Drink. So they're the presenting sponsor of the event. They've got banners all around this beautiful building. So I'd love to see NOS's. Hard to imagine them getting more involved in the sport than they already were, but great to see.
One of the things that's going to go with that is that you need to pay off that support that they're giving us, right? Race car
Absolutely.
people do business with folks that are involved in the industry. So if you guys are going out and looking for something to quench your thirst and pop some energy, we invite you to choose NOS. As on to the racetrack, one of the 3 Alex Bowman racing cars, the Ally-sponsored number 55V, that is C.J. Leary out of Greenfield, Indiana.
Leary, the former USAC National Sprint Car Champion, and some very good-looking Alex Bowman racing cars.
They do look
week
sharp.
as well. And man, they had a tough Chili Bowl last year.
Yes, they
They
did.
tore up a lot of equipment. But 3 really, really good drivers in Leary, Jake Swanson, and Kevin Thomas Jr. For Alex Bowman Racing this year. Alex will be tuning on those cars, having fun back in the pit area.
That driver on the track's right from your backyard. You
That's
see
right.
him all the time. That is what, Dalton Camfield?
The Camfield family is one of the most, trying to think of the word, prominent families, prominent last names in the history of major racing, especially in the Midwest for sure. You think back to the Mara days, the early Power A days. The Camfields have been there, done that when it comes to just about everything midget racing related. I would be willing to bet there was a Camfield in the first Chili Bowl if I had to guess.
Hey, guess what?
Can go back and look.
We have got the official Chili Bowl Midget Nationals media guide in front of us.
If not, there was probably one in the second, but that was Dalton on the track there in the 10C. Andrew Deal had an interview last year where he said, "I love God, I love my family, and I love the Chili Bowl." And I can't help but agree with that. There's Andrew on the track in the 15D. Car looks a little tight right there, gets it ironed out, gets through the corner. And our car goes around. That's 29K, Brian Harvey. The white and red machine comes to a stop in the middle of 1 and 2.
So I'm back to 1990. Not yet. We're looking, though. Granted, we don't have every participant in every one here in this media guide, but I'm looking. We're going to find one.
Joey Worth on track in 77. If there wasn't a Camfield in the first Chili Bowl, there's been a lot of them
They've been
through the years.
here since we've been paying attention to it, if not longer.
I think they took the COVID year off, and I think that was I think that snapped a really, really long streak of not having a Camfield in the building. But they're back. That's all that matters.
There's a look at Sean McClellan. McClellan running underneath the Town Line Variety stable. That's a really nice piece for the driver they call Soup, who's got A-main starts to his credit. One of the nicest guys in the pit area. One of the most humble guys in the pit area as well. All right, so going all the way back, Rich Camfield made the A-main event in 1994. That's the earliest known that I see here in the book. So 94 at least for the Camfield family. As unfortunately the 29K on the racetrack is around that, being Brian Harvey. Fire him back off and try to get this hot lap session back up and going. Good afternoon, Andy Gibson. Thanks for watching from East Tennessee. Nice to have you in. Tyler Foley, we don't know where some of the where our drivers are going to be yet in terms of deploying them for the drivers only segment. We only know speculating who we might have. So, sorry, I don't have a good answer for that yet. Hello, Josh Hegwood. Nice to have you tuned in as well. Dave Sharpley, watching the practice from Brownsburg, Indiana, working in the shop. Probably getting some more seat pours ready to go.
Another one of those guys that is very good on the safety side of this industry. Problems continuing here for Brian Harvey, as it looks like he is going to need the hood in that 29K.
Pick him and roll him off. As we get a look at that car Well, something.
I don't see anything hanging, but it.
The
could be
rear end
something.
was hanging a little bit, but that's kind of natural when you pick the car up like that.
Yeah. Is the Nerf bar bent a little bit, maybe, or is it just natural? Yeah, it looks,
I don't
looks
think
a little
it's bent.
to me.
It doesn't look bent into the tire, though, which would be
Yeah.
the big thing.
Cam Field and the 10C on the screen once again. So we're back underway here in session number 30. Have a look at Leary in the 55V.
Larry's got those custom colored gloves to match the.
Yeah.
That's sharp. Big wheel stand coming off the corner.
Leary's been in that Bowman car a couple years at the Chili Bowl, usually very competitive. Another look at
Talked about Deal.
Deal, 15D, Joey Worth in 77, former winner of the Terry Spratt Memorial down at my home track of Southern Illinois Raceway. With Gastineau, I believe, in that 2E machine, battling there with McClellan.
Gastineau, very familiar to Oklahoma fans in and around, as many-time OCRS feature winner. Put him in a winged car, put him in a non-winged car. Gastineau pretty darn good. Up the ramp he goes.
So CJ Leary, since he took over that 55V machine, has started 3 Chili Bowls with a best of 8th back in 2019. His best finish, though, 7th in 2022. Didn't make the main last year. We mentioned it was a rough Chili Bowl for ABR, but CJ looking for perhaps his first top 5. He's always a guy that, he's cracked the top 10 twice. He's had a couple good prelim runs, I believe. It was
Up till last year, he was always one of those safe picks, right?
Yeah, for sure, right?
Depending on whether you were just picking somebody to root on that you knew was going to have a good performance, or if you were dirt drafting or whatever it was, you could pick Leary and know, okay, this guy's going to be in the hunt. And then, of course, last year where nothing went right for ABR.
I think it was 2 years ago. He was on the podium. I think it might have been the year Thorson won and ran second to Bell. I think Leary ran third that night. It was like pretty close to being on par with Bell and Thorson. But CJ could be, like, we know how talented he is. We watch him in sprint cars and silver crown cars all year. He really could be a guy that could sneak into the top 5 Saturday night.
You know, it's one of those things that the late Brian Gapinski kind of told me to watch as far as, like, who guys who are actually going to be competitors end up being. He said, watch the car speed, right? The guys who just visually on the track, you can catch them, carry 5 to 10 miles an hour more than the guys that you're out there watching. And, again, we don't have timing and scoring lined up today, but if you can see those guys that just have the actual raw, my car is faster than your speed, more often than not, those guys filter their way to the tops, and those are your truly safe bets for good performances. What happens to those guys is usually a factor of bad or good luck, depending on where their finish comes in.
And we talk about this every year. I know I've said it before. Any driver in this building will tell you, no matter how good you are, you do have to have some luck to be good in this building. As many obstacles as there are, as many wild cards as there are, you've got to have luck. Brady Bacon's a guy that probably knows that for sure.
Unless you have out of this world, beyond, over and above talent,
right?
Which, there's a handful of guys that you would say, okay, these guys have got the ability to overcome every bad break that happens.
Yeah.
Something's got to go right for you on a race night here.
Yeah.
It has to. So Brady, once again, guy who has many golden drillers, just not through the midget competition. He's been great at the Tulsa Shootout over the years, but this is the one that has been squarely with the bullseye on it for a long time now. Bacon driving for the Hink family in the 21. Nice looking piece.
Bacon with 5 finale starts at the Chili Bowl, I do believe.
There's Gavin Bichelle, the 5G. Gavin rolling around in the K1 Race Gear sponsored car this week. We'll see.
Second Chili Bowl for Gavin. Does Bacon doesn't even have a prelim night win, does he?
He has been in the top 3 more than a few times.
I'm gonna look. I know he's locked in several times. He's bounced around in rides at this event. It was in the 76 car for a while. Was that the Manafort car, I believe?
Yep, ran for Mike and Megan Eubanks, the Telstar car for a number of years.
He's bounced around a little bit, but I think Brady's been really happy with the program that the Heats have brought with that midget the last couple of years. So we'll see what Brady can do. There's a driver that broke through in a huge way on Tuesday night of last year. That's Hank Davis, Taylor.
What a star-making turn it was for Davis. You know, Davis, the year before, had come off double-digit feature wins here in the Oklahoma area in winged sprint car action. Carried that momentum in here to the building where he's been good in the micro sprint before, but you just kind of had a gut feeling when he was up there in practice speeds and looked so good. Don't sleep on Hank Davis. Well, nobody sleeping on him coming into this year's Chili Bowl.
The Matt Seymour racing cars were really good last year too. I believe one of the Buckwalters was in the other one. Was it 10, I believe?
Yeah.
So the Seymour cars looked really competitive last year. We'll see what they can do here in 2024. We saw a glimpse of Brad Wyatt, the 55F Johnny Kent, and Kaylee Bryson, who had a very interesting year, right? So she comes off being the first female to make the Chili Bowl feature in 2022. Backs it up, does it the second time. Departs KKM, goes and does Silver Crown, some Trans Am road racing, a little bit of great late model, a little bit of 360 sprint car. Through that 360 sprint car races that she ran, she was able to meet and build a relationship with Sammy Swindell, to where she comes back to the Chili Bowl trying to start her for the third year in a row, and is teammates with Sammy Swindell in the Swindell-Bertrand camp. So Kaylee's really excited about this opportunity to work with one of the best.
Interested to see what direction Kaylee's career goes.
Yeah.
This last year, there was a lot of jumping around, a lot of different disciplines and trying your hand at some different things.
But I think for someone like Kaylee, that can be a good thing, right? Because it's different than running 40 midget races a year, where it's kind of the same thing over and over again. You know, right?
Yep.
We see what the most talented drivers in the country do. We see what the Larsons and the Bells and the Ricos do. They run so many different types of race cars at any time. So I actually think what Kaylee did this year is something that not a lot of drivers really would do, right? To step out and do something like that. So props to Kaylee.
There's also this theory in the other major sports called prospect fatigue, where you've heard about a person for so long, and then once they finally get to what you would consider the big leagues, because you've heard of them so long, your opinion of how good they could be has kind of gone down. Kaylee's been around so long, but she's still so young, too, right? I mean, I think that's one of the things we forget is we've been watching her for a decade now here at the Expo and watching her successfully in and around here, but she's very young in her racing career still. So once she finds that thing that she's going to grab and be the best at, or one of the best at that point in time, I imagine her career explodes.
I could see her really. I was really impressed with her, and I don't think I got to see her in person, but I watched a couple Silver Crown races that she ran, and I thought she was really good in them. I could see Kaylee doing like non-lean sprint cars full time, right?
You
like
remember,
being a USAC non-lean sprint car driver. I think that's something I could see Kaylee doing.
Do you remember that one picture, Silver Crown racing?
Yeah.
Say it was Springfield.
Everybody
else on the bottom, and there's Kaylee just
yeah.
going, "Hey, look! Thanks for the free spots, guys."
She was leading, almost won that race too. I think was leading until 10-20 to go, something like that. Jeff Stassa, 91 on track.
The king of Kingman, Kansas. Just waiting for him to fire off, roll back to the next car behind him.
All right, here's a guy, Kyle Spence. Obviously, a lot of success in this building in micros. Couple drillers on his resume, but wins the KTM Give Back in 2022. Gets a KTM ride last year. Really impressive for his very first Chili Bowl. One of the first times he's ever driven a midget. He's back with Trifecta Motorsports, a team that we're going to talk a lot about this week. I've got big expectations for them, so we'll talk about them. But a good pairing, I think. Spence and Trifecta. Excited to see what Kyle can do.
We ran into Janky Bobby, crew chief of Stars, out there with Trifecta at the Port City practice day. Their driver roster is really solid.
Very good.
It's good equipment. It's well wrenched on. That's a 3-person team that could do some big things this week.
And it was actually a last-minute decision. Carson Hocevar was going to drive the third Trifecta Motorsports entry, but Carson, last minute, decided not to come to Chili Bowl. So Kyle Spence hopped in that car. I think they finalized it probably 2 weeks ago, give or take. So we'll see what Kyle can do. He's going out for his second practice session of the day here. It's the 40 machine Max Adams from Marion, Indiana, I do believe.
Former California kid who moved Indiana way to try his wares amongst the best of the non-wingers in the country. Green traffic lights are on, and you'll see them start picking up some speed. Racetrack getting nice and wide in turn number 2. Oh, hiccup getting into turn number 3 for Adams.
54 seed Chance Hull, Kennedale, Texas native, and already it's practice with that brake rotor glowing.
Seating the new tie rotor in, you'll get some sparkage
Yeah.
at first on that guy. Cool visual to see.
I'm excited for this partnership. Carter Sarf, who broke through and won the POWRi National Major Championship this year, after working really, really so hard in the last couple of years to be a guy that could go and do something like that. Carter teaming up with Chase Bristow to drive another Chase Bristow Racing entry for the Chili Bowl, so he'll be in the 5CB.
You'll also see him in the O'Reilly Invitational
Yep.
Race of Champions, so that'll be a chance to dial that car in even further. Is
Joe Perry,
Hike in the
28K.
left front, yeah.
Billings, Montana, hometown for him.
One of 7 drivers eligible for one of the sub-awards that's gotten created through a group of fans who are here from the Northwest. The Northwest Shayna Barnes Memorial Award, where the top finishing Northwest driver, Perry being one of the 7, eligible for a prize. Whoever finishes the highest in whatever main it is between them, going to take over $2,000 home between them. So Andrew Kuhn is doing yeoman's duty, raising up over 2G and continuing to grow for the highest finishing Northwest driver.
So you guys on the Pacific Northwest, I don't know how you count it all. Is all of Montana considered Pacific Northwest, or is it just like that top?
I am not
tip of it.
I am not the arbiter of the how it's decided portion of that.
I know.
And I'm glad I'm not. So, but I think they considered all of Montana, Idaho, British Columbia, Washington, and Oregon was the listed hometowns eligible.
Okay.
So you got Gary Taylor, Chance Crum, Robbie Price,
Tanner Holmes.
Tanner Holmes, Perry, Jerry Bray, and there's one more, and I can't remember them off the top of my head right now. But those will be the 7. We'll hit that a little bit later in the week once I have the official final list and the final total listed for that deal. Should be cool.
Blake Kahn in the 52, rolling down the ramp. Got some very notable names coming up here in these next couple sessions that we're going to talk about.
Matt Westfall?
Believe so.
Yep, ran into Matt yesterday on the way out. Good to catch up with him, the multiple-time boss champion, feature winner, etc. Feeling really good. Has new power this year. So was really excited to have a new power plant in that car, and thinks he'll be able to keep on up with everybody else as far as horsepower goes.
So Stanton SR11X. Westfall is another one of those guys that can just drive anything. Seen him run Silver Crown cars, sprint cars. I think he's even done some modified late model stuff and been pretty successful in that as well. So
he's always, and that's a pool favorite right there.
Yes.
Guys who over the years, he's been one of those make or break your pool kind of guys with massive performances. So nice to see Matt back, one of the arena favorites.
Going to be weird not seeing Damian Gardner in the field this year at the Chili Bowl. Retired, kind of announced it Saturday morning last year that it was going to be it. I remember interviewing him right before he went out. But Taylor Ferns takes over the seat of the number 71G for Clyde Enterprises.
Going to have big shoes to fill in that one. Big shoes, big expectations. Damian, the former winner of this whole event. Taylor, I mean, that'd be quite the feather in the cap to add to that. Just looking for a good performance to start things off.
Yeah, for sure. And Taylor's really made a name for herself the last couple of years, doing a lot of the pavement, midget, and sprint car stuff in Indiana, and hops on dirt every once in a while, but not super experienced on dirt. So we'll see what Taylor can do here at the Chili Bowl. There's Tanner Thorson from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Won the Chili Bowl in 2022, then went and started his own midget team and came back last year and was just as strong, if not stronger than he was the year before. Came up a couple spots short, but did get a prelim win. He's back ready for another driller.
Talk about a guy that every time I have seen him has just been focus.
Yeah.
Focus, focus, focus. What's the next thing to do? What's the next thing to do? Thorson is coming on. He is locked in to try to win his second driller here in this.
Is it surprising to you, because Tanner's been a guy that's bounced around a lot, right, between so many different rides. This is probably, honestly, this is probably the first time he's driven the same car at the Chili Bowl back-to-back years in a long time, because he bounced around quite a bit.
It's been a hot
Is it surprising to you how much he's bounced around, how good he's continued to be, and how the results are always there? Going from car to car, he still can jump in and find a way to win almost right off the bat.
No, that's not surprising to me at all, because he's got such a strong feeling of what he wants.
Right.
Here's the feel I want, and I know how to go about getting it. That's why I think that the results have always followed him, no matter how much ride jumping has happened.
This seems like there's not a lot of guys that can pull that off, though.
No, and that's part of the reason you don't see a lot of mechanics that race these days. And really,
Oh, Spencer Baston.
Caught all of that on film as it came around.
Last year's Race of Champions winner. He dominated the Race of Champions. Upside down in practice, and the red flag is out.
The Washington-based Sage Fruit sponsored car, and Baston plays Sky Pilot here in practice. That's going to set his week behind to start with. We're in session number 26, so I think that puts him as a Wednesday night car.
Yep, I believe so.
So he'll have a couple of days to thrash and get her back together, but man, big tumble for him.
Spencer's been a name that's come to the Chili Bowl for several years. I remember him running in the Brian Clausen Inc., the BCI camp for several years, drove one of the 39 cars, was with KKM for several years, a USAC National Midget Champion a few years back. Let's take a look at what happens.
Just got up and over that little lip in the corner, biked her and brought her down. So the question's going to be, thank you to Ibach for sponsoring our replay on that one. The question's going to be, how bad's the Baston damage? How much are they going to have to fix on it? Looks like they're eyeballing some fence repair here for the moment.
Had to go through a little bit of fence repair during the Tulsa shootout. This was one of the more rough shootouts in terms of beating on the fence than
It didn't
recent memory.
It didn't start that way, though. You remember looking at that gravity check going into it, and it was light, right? Till stuck non-wing, but that's typical. So they're going to get to working on the fence over here in corners number 3 and 4, right outside the Brian Gapinski announce booth. We will be back with more practice. The 38th annual Chili Bowl Midget Nationals practice day live here on Flow Racing. Engines fired here on this practice session as we're back from break, and you're getting a look at Tanner Thorson ripping his practice laps here around the expo.
If you missed this Spencer Baston sweep, not off to a good start, upside down in practice. That's what we were under a red flag for just prior to the commercial break. Matt Westfall in the 54. Baston was a podium finisher back in 2018. Started last year's event in 8th and ran in the top 10, but run up that late caution. Ended up not finishing. But
Be one of the High Limit Sprint Car Series drivers coming up here in 2024, which you'll see every lap live here on Flow Racing.
There's a look at Taylor Ferns again. Talked about her taking over the seat of the 71G for Platt Enterprises that was wheeled by Damian Gardner for so many years. And Taylor's got a teammate, Shelby Hinton, back with the Platt team, driving the 4-car for the second year in a row.
The Bob East cars usually get around here pretty darn good.
Yep.
No matter who's in them, and if it starts a little rough, it gets way better.
That was the car McDoodle made the soup run in, right?
I thought he was in the 4 to make that run.
The 4, yeah.
Yeah,
Platt.
same camp.
Yeah.
Same camp.
2-seater coming out for the first time this week.
Shout out to you guys following along, interacting with us on social media. Aunt Bay checking in on Twitter, who's at home working on the sprint cars for On the Fence Kyle Spence. And nice to have you tuned in once again. Appreciate you being part of the broadcast. at Connor Wade 66, at Caleb Hart 83. Caleb is with a K. Check in with us. Let us know where you're watching from. Here on practice day at the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals. I don't think that's Jake rolling the car around. Jake usually has a more colorful helmet, right?
Might be somebody different.
Eh,
What's the
I can't see what the visor
something on the
says.
yeah? There's something on the visor, but
Either way, somebody having a good time. And whoever's back there in the passenger seat, sawing on the wheel. So, getting into her.
I know Matt Ward has driven the two-seater a couple times in the past. Doesn't really look like Matt either, though.
Normal pilot is Jake Rosario, who is the 2022 A-Class champion out at the Port City Raceway. Got to extend nice things and nice words out to Shane Stewart for hosting that practice day. That was fun to go out to. He's got a neat little facility out there.
Yeah, very cool. I love Port City. I love going there, whether it's for micros or midgets. My personal favorite there is non-wing micros. The KTM Give Back Classic is one of my favorite races in general to go to. So if you can check out a big micro race, big non-wing micro race, or even a good midget race at Port City, definitely do it. Shane and Mr. Rudine have done a couple really nice things with that facility.
It's a nice place to watch a race, that's for darn sure.
I know you enjoyed it, and it was just practice.
The banking was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, watching them, like, ooh, you know, this thing gets run in all the way to the fence.
Yeah.
That could be wild. Wild stuff.
I've fallen down that banking before, believe it or not. Not fun.
Does anybody have it on video?
Yeah, it was on video.
Oh, fantastic. I got to find that too. They are making a stripe around with the water truck at the moment. Put down some moisture here in the facility as we are through session 26. We're going backwards. Next one should be 25 coming their way out and onto the racetrack. Now, Thorson's scheduled for Thursday night, so we are still in Thursday night cars that I remember.
I believe Baston is for Wednesday, though, so we might be
Right on the borderline.
mixture, yeah.
Yeah.
Did we miss RTJ, or is he in this next one?
Haven't seen Rick
They haven't-
Burton Jr. yet.
It hasn't been exactly. We've had a couple guys that are, a session ahead or a session behind. So, but RTJ was
They're-
scheduled to be out in 26.
They're a little lax with that in
Yeah.
some ways. It's a practice day, okay, so long as you get out close to where you are. We should talk a little bit about Wednesday, Connor, because Wednesday's going to look different this year. No Rico Abreu.
That's right. Yeah. So Rico making the decision instead of coming to the Chili Bowl this year to go down under and race sprint cars, and we're going to miss Rico, right?
We are.
Rico is a huge part, has been a huge part of building this event into what it is, and one of the most successful competitors at the Chili Bowl in the event's history. We've loved having him here competing, but also, hanging out with the fans, interacting with them, selling so much merchandise, making the mullet hats take over this building, right? What Rico's done for this event is just incredible. And look, Rico, can't wait to have you back. But
have fun, go win a bunch of money.
And he's already won down in Australia.
Yep.
Keep doing it. Have fun down there, and you get why he's doing it, right?
Absolutely.
Because Rico right now is in a better position as far as 14-wing sprint cars go than he's ever been in his entire career. He's as competitive as ever. He can go win an Eldora Million or a Knoxville Nationals or a Kings Royal or a Big High Limit race. He could win that championship, right? So you get why he's doing it. Focus on 14-wing sprint cars. Rico, have fun down there. Good luck. We can't wait to see you back at the Chili Bowl.
The day when you come back to this building with a race car again, you're going to be celebrated as the hero that you are to this place. You've earned it. So if your heart's with the wing sprint car right now, go do her, man. It certainly makes Wednesday a little bit different because he has won every prelim Wednesday A feature since 2015. Can you name
crazy?
Can you name the last driver to get one before Rico on a Wednesday night?
I can, because you told me. My guess was Sammy, and you told me who it was, and I would have never guessed this name, but thinking now it does make sense because it did happen. I want to see if there's anybody out there on social that knows this one.
Without cheating, without going to look it up, right?
We will tell you it was not Sammy.
It was
Sammy's
not.
Always been kind of a Wednesday night guy through the
And that
years.
was our thought, right?
Yeah.
Is that it was that transition. It went from Sammy to Rico, and Wednesday nights have just been consistent over the years.
It was not Sammy.
Somebody reached up to pull the upset in 2014. So without looking at the internet, tweet us in at Connor Wade 66 at Caleb Hart 83, Caleb with a K, and we'll give you credit for if you get it right. And well, frankly, you will know if you're cheating or not.
Right.
So, meanwhile, we do have cars in the track. Amongst them for session number 25, that's Ryan Bernal out of Hollister, California. Incredibly versatile, talented driver in there. And Bernal, one of the Matt Wood Racing entries. That's a good car for him, and hopefully he's had a little bit of bad luck the last couple of years. Hopefully he can get that turned around.
Yeah, Ryan's been a kind of a staple in the MWR stable the last couple of years. They've kind of gone through some drivers, but always had really, really good drivers. But Ryan really, and Shane Golobic and Colby Copeland really have all three been staples in that camp, and they're all back this year. Of course, with Darren Pittman, I think, is mixed into that stable as well in the 21. And then Landon Brooks, talented young driver that I'm really excited to watch this week as well. So MWR always brings a good camp. This year, no different. Ryan Bernal started the feature here multiple times. We'll see if he can do it again.
26J on the racetrack. Your driver of that is Jacob Harris from Vidor, Texas. Running an Ellis with a Guardy in it. Old school combination. Love it.
Saw Cade Morton on track as well in the 8M, Coweta, Oklahoma. There's a look at Morton.
That camp got a lot more interesting here in the last couple of days as late breaking Darren Nida ended up not being able to run for Dan Binks. The Binks team couldn't come down, so Morton's had seat open in the 10M. Add Nida into that mix. That gives him a good another young shoe to bounce some feedback off of, some driver information, so that ought to be fun for those guys.
It was not Chris Wyndham. We had a guest asking if it was Chris Wyndham. It was not Big Daddy.
That's a good guess.
Good guess. Big Daddy is in the field driving the NOS Energy Drink 89 for CB Industries, as he has for several years, won a USAC National Midget Championship in that car. So,
I think we can share that this one will be a little more off the radar.
yeah, this is
little more off the radar.
probably even more off the radar than the Travis Berryhill win.
I would say so. We did have somebody guessing Berry Hill. Who was it?
That was one of my guesses. I couldn't remember what year Berryhill did it, and I think his was on a Tuesday night.
Tony Gomes checked in with that guess. Nope, Tony was not Berry Hill. That was not the one. Thank you for the guess, sir.
So,
Well, we got some news from the pit area. Our own Earl Hooten Jr. rolled into the pits to find out what was going on with Spencer Baston. Said that is the same car that they brought here to the Expo last year. That car did end up crashing last year. I remember that now after the fact, now that Earl mentioned it. He said rear shocks and a left front shock. Otherwise, it should be repairable and should be good to return, as should the driver.
and they caught a break for sure, because that
Yeah.
definitely could have gone the other way.
There's also shock guys in the building.
Yeah.
Depending on who they're using as their shock manufacturer of choice. I know both FK is here and CSI is here with setups ready to go and service their stuff. So if they're using either one of those two, they're good to go. Take it over to the appropriate trailer, get her fixed up, and be ready to roll.
Couple guesses for Brian Clausen. It was not Brian Clausen. Clausen, I mentioned he was a Friday night guy. Did win a couple Friday night prelims in his career, but BC was not the last Wednesday winner before Rico.
Marlon and Darcy checking in, not with a guest, but just checking in nonetheless. Hi, guys. Nice to hear from you. Alan from up in Snohomish County checks in with Ronnie Gardner. It was not Ronnie Gardner. We'll tell you at the end of this session. You still got a little bit of time to get your guess in. Hello, Tony Williamson. Thanks for coming through. As you get a look at Ryan Bernal coming off of corner number 4. Hustling into turn number 1.
Oh, Quentin Flory got it.
Who got it?
Quentin Flory. Check
Okay.
in on Twitter.
We'll
Caleb
get-
Armstrong. It was Caleb Armstrong.
2014, Caleb Armstrong got the win. So congratulations to everybody that played. Unfortunately, only one of you was right.
I'm honestly surprised it took people that long to get it. Just tells you how long ago it's been. Almost 10 years.
I figured somebody would have Googled it before then, but it's all right. I appreciate the spirit of competition. Out there on the racetrack, car number 3, Cole Schroeder. That's the other Northwest guy that I forgot
Okay,
about.
yeah.
So Schroeder out of Montana had a really good shootout too. So
Good year in the micros for Schroeder.
one of a few Rosie's Raceland sponsored cars.
I believe it's his second Chili Bowl.
Ooh, we've got the YouTube chat up that we can see guys checking in. Shout outs, not necessarily in order. Andrew Blacker, Keanu Brando, Stephen Norton, Craig Yount, Lexi Hoover, Mopar Phil, Steve Clark, Steve Smith, Carter Lumber. This guy's username is Catman. That's weird.
Very.
Rafael Hodgson, MS Motorsports, and more. So again, the answer, Caleb Armstrong was the last non-Rico Abreu prelim night winner back in 2014. Sammy had grabbed a couple in before that. Thank you guys all for chipping in. Quentin Flory gets all the glory.
To put it this way, that is before I had never been to a Chili Bowl at that point. I don't believe you had either. So that was before you and I even started coming to this event.
I was paying attention, but I couldn't tell you who. I wouldn't have got that one.
I was 10.
Without the help of the internet.
I was almost 10 in January 2014.
Almost. And yet you were still interviewing race car drivers.
Exactly, yeah.
Start 'em young, guys. Racetrack announcers are not found, they're bred.
One of the Glenn Steyer's racing entries, that's the 3G of Kyle Cummins. All the Glenn Steyer's cars look really, really sharp this year. Of course, they always do, but Kyle Cummins, Glenn himself, and I think they have a third entry this year as well. So they really, really sharp-looking race cars. Can tell they spend a lot of time and detail on those.
Kyle is really, really good in here. The king of Hobstad.
Yep.
As virtually unbeatable there in a non-wing sprint car. And a relatively good human being, too. So we
Very
appreciate
good
it.
human being, and has a new ride for 2024. He'll be, I think, full-time on the USAC National Tour. So going to be weird not seeing him in the 3 machine, the Rocksteady car that we've seen him in for so long. But KTJ is going to slot into that car, and new horizons for Kyle Cummins. But remember that run that Cummins had, it wasn't last year, it was either 2 years. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. Decided, I think, at the last minute to come run Chili Bowl. His wife was in labor.
Pregnant, yes.
And ends up coming
Kelsey.
and running third. Maybe he was second to lock in. I think he was second on the prelim to lock into the show. It was really, really cool to see Kyle Cummins have so much success that week.
A look at Brent Cruz in the Gear Wrench sponsored Keith Kunz Motorsports car.
Cruz last year became the youngest driver to start the Chili Bowl A main. Robert Carson on track there in 99K. Caleb Stelzig, another one of those Herrera cars that we talked about. Albuquerque, New Mexico.
All the Herrera cars are easy to identify and pretty sharp, right? I love that color of blue down the roll cage. It's almost like my high school blue, even though I hated my high school. So, in fact, I hate that roll cage color, and we'll just move on.
Poor Caleb Stelzig, poor Johnny Herrera.
They're fast race car, right?
Right.
If it goes around the track fast, they'll be just fine.
70K, Tim Kent was scheduled to be out in the last session, but has come on track here.
And we just commentators cursed him as he rolls to a stop here.
What is that on the side of that race car? It's a monster of some sort. I don't know. Once the
Is it
officials
Ratfink?
move-
That's Ratfink. That might be beyond your generation.
I have no idea what
okay.
that is.
Well, all right. Plunk it into your Google machine. Ratfink.
How do you spell that?
Ratfink. Whole generation of stuff based around that. My boss, if he's watching right now, is going to love that look. Although usually it's louder with the colors and stuff like that.
It's definitely what it is.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Huh.
Car
Learn something
fires
new
off.
every day.
The Stevenson Express for Tim Kent, running in memory of David Stevenson. I love the old school Ratfink stuff. Like we've had guys do that in our stock car division up at Skagit Speedway a couple of times, and I can't remember. There's a bigger, higher branching something like Lunch Pail Kids or something that it's from. I can't remember what that part is, but I always know you see that's Ratfink, and Ratfink looks good.
All right. Learn something new every day. John Egan in 75X. Canberra ACT. What's ACT? Australian Capital Territory.
Okay.
Jonathan Beeson in the 8J, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma native. Back with hard 8, S-liter power. Looks pretty good right there.
Flying around the outside, Beeson looking very solid. Clinton Boyle's coming out, getting a full practice session. We expected him. I didn't really see him at speed in his session earlier, so maybe he's finally getting actual laps here. Old school Chili Bowl style with that left front right up on the berm in the 11 car. And behind him, car number 6. Was that Isaac Chappell 6?
Believe so.
Sure looks like it.
Yep.
Talked a little bit about Clinton earlier, but we'll give you the details. He's running for Scott Byerly. It's a Stanton SR11 and the Stealth in that car. And he is awfully happy with it. So Clinton's in a good space early on. Acknowledgements, easy for me to say. Jeremy Sutton, Tyler Harshman. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. As we're back to green flag action.
T, that's Mitchell Moles, former Winged Outlaw winner at the Tulsa Shootout. And Mitchell, a former USAC midget winner, former USAC sprint car winner. Really found a home with Reinbold the last couple of years.
Winged Outlaw winner of the Tulsa Shootout.
Yep. Raisin City, California is where he calls home. One of the most exciting young drivers. Remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, probably 2 years ago, he was running for Matt Wood and was having a really good prelim effort going, and he was battling with, it was the night Carrick broke through to win, but he was battling with Jerry Coons Jr.
Correct. He came off the corner and flipped.
Yeah, big
At the
flip
same
down the
time,
front stretch.
Jerry blew the motor.
Yeah.
That was about 5 laps to go.
It was wild.
And it was a
Yeah.
great race. Tanner Carrick, right place, right time.
Carrick back this year. If you're in the pits, you'll notice there's 2 McIntosh cars in the pits and 2 Carrick cars in the pits. They're one for their prelim and finale runs, and then McIntosh and Carrick being brought separate cars for the Race of Champions tomorrow night by KTM. A reason for that is because Carrick and McIntosh are both out tomorrow night.
Something goes wrong.
You junk a car in the not VIROC, the OIROC.
Yes, the OIROC.
You junk your car in the Race of Champions, you're not going to have time to turn it around. Whereas the other KTM cars that are running later in the week, you have more time to make repairs. So.
Look down in the main aisle. We call that the main aisle, right? And that's where most of your big teams are hanging out, situated, etc. There's one row to the right of it that's kind of off screen and one big row to the left of it. But
there was
like 370 race cars into that shot right there.
It's crazy how many they pack in. There were some parking changes this year. I don't know why, but that's always one of the fascinating parts for me. It's like, hey, who's moved this year? The Swindell CV team, they moved to the left side of the aisle as opposed to the right and moved down a little bit.
Strange.
That was weird. Tanner Thorson also was kind of there on the front of the right side of the main aisle last
and now
year.
He's to the far left.
Yeah, he's not even in the main aisle anymore. So I thought that was a little weird.
You always used to go to the back right corner of the main aisle to find Brian Dunlap and his 2 cars. Now he's forward and left down the main. Just one of those little intricacies if you come here to the arena all the time that you kind of pick up on and you go, well, why do you guys want to park there? Why do they want to be in this spot? Okay, that makes sense. Well,
got an update on the Tim Kent 70K. We saw him stopped on the racetrack there. That was the Rat Fiend car. Some throttle linkage issues for Kent is what was derailing him in that last practice group.
Little 10-30-second rod sometimes and rod ends. Bad things can happen with them. So your 17X out there, I have got that as Kurt Stellhorn out of Evansville, Illinois.
I believe that's correct.
Ripper chassis, Esslinger motor behind the Stellhorn car. Take a look behind them. There's another Dave McDalby car.
Brody Wake in the 08K, Lake Havasu City, Arizona. Saw him get presented with a really nice humanitarian award from Racecraft during the Tulsa Shootout. And Brody did a little bit of midget stuff this year for Dave McDolby, not a ton, but making his Chili Bowl debut for the team here this January.
Had a good start to his Tulsa Shootout. Didn't end up the way he wanted it to, but Wake can come out and make some laps here as we flash back even further in the field to get a look. The 75B.
Daniel Whitley.
Daniel Whitney, yep.
So Whitley was the car he drove for Abacus last year at the Chili Bowl and got upside down on the front straightaway. I don't remember if it was on his prelim. I think it was sometime late on Saturday night in one of the maybe a DC or B that Whitley was in. It was a big fire whenever he got upside down. I was happy to see him climb out of that one and be okay. The safety crew, I remember, doing a great job to get him out of the car as soon as the car was just upside down and engulfed in flames. So, and then Daniel had a really impressive year in 2023. Saw him a couple times with Extreme. Came so close to a win at Atomic. Leads every lap, loses it to Jade on the final corner. Comes back the next night, and there was no stopping him. He dominated, led every lap, and hung on, and got his first national major win. That was really cool. Departs Abacus and goes to Griffiths Motorsports to be teammates with Brian Stanfill for Chili Bowl this year. So Whitley originally from California, but moved to Indiana, and got a lot of talent behind the wheel of a midget.
Sometimes you got to lose one like that
Yeah.
to really light the fire the right way, right? We'll keep an eye on him as green light's turned back on.
44B, that's Brannigan Roark.
A sharp-looking car for Brannigan.
The Missouri driver. Como vibes on the side of that one.
High expectations for the guy trailing him into turn number 1, the 5U.
Michael Facento joins Trifecta Motorsports. Facento, saw him during the Tulsa Shootout. He's always a name we follow during that week. He's won the shootout a couple times before and has had some really, really competitive runs here at the Chili Bowl in the past. So we'll see what Facento can do.
He's top 3 his prelim night before here. We know he's got the talent to do it.
60X Garrett Williamson from Columbia, Missouri, ran Knoxville on a weekly basis this past year.
Climbing the ranks from wing 360 to wing 410.
Yep.
Very talented race car driver.
Made, I think, one midget start throughout the summer. Didn't do a whole lot. There's a micro kid from the Northeast that's impressed in the micro ranks and partners up with Mountain Stop Motorsports again. That's Preston Latimus. A name we've heard at the shootout quite a bit in the past.
That'll do it for this session. Where are we at? Low 20s now?
Yeah, that was
22-ish?
23. Should be coming up to 22. Looks like they're going to take the water wagon around for a couple laps.
It's getting awfully slick out there. I
Yeah.
don't know if you were keeping close an eye on it, but the blue grooves are really starting to develop. So before too long, they may need to come out and break that up just a smidge. We'll see how they choose to go about it. You guys are watching live coverage of practice day here at the 38th Annual Chili Bowl Midget Nationals. Live here on Flow Racing. Excited to have you in with us. Our live coverage starts tomorrow. Typically, we're on the air. Practice starts about 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, so we're on the air 5-10 minutes before then. Keep your eyes on the Flow Racing social media. We'll have all your exact times, etc., coming up for you.
So this is new, but this is really, really cool.
All right.
There are going to be 2 drivers added in to the Race of Champions tomorrow night via a fan vote.
What?
Yeah, this is...
We're already at 18. So we're going to go to 20.
We're going to go to 20. This is really, really new for the Chili Bowl. I don't remember them doing anything like this before, but fans can vote, and I believe they'll get to vote for either 1 or 2. It looks like you get to vote for 1, and they'll take the top 2 to be added to the Race of Champions. And the options are Brandon Welty, Haley Bryson, Daniel Robinson, Santino Ferrucci, Jack Wagner, Nick Hoffman, Steve Buckwalter, Matt Westfall, Tom Harris, and Joby Miller. So that's really cool. Some names that I don't know if we've seen any of those.
But you can only pick one.
Can only pick one. The top 2 will be added. Definitely tough to pick one of that group. But that's really cool because those aren't names that you see in the Race of Champions a lot. So it's somebody, it's an opportunity for two new drivers to get to compete in that race.
So where is the voting available at? Do we know that?
So
You got sent a link, right?
I got sent a link. Let me figure out exactly. I know Flow Racing tweeted it. They shared the link.
Okay.
On their Twitter page.
So go to @Flow Racing on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, and you'll be able to find the link there.
And I'm going to see if it's on the Chili Bowl page as well. This is really new. I literally just found this out
minutes old, so
a couple of minutes ago.
All right. Well, you look for that. We'll tell you cars on the racetrack, and
it will be there. The link is also on the Chili Bowl Nationals Facebook page. It looks like it says there will be 2 more drivers added to the O'Reilly Invitational Race of Champions. 10 drivers have been selected, and voting goes. Okay, here's a key part. Voting goes until Monday at noon Central Time.
So you've got less than 24 hours.
So, 2 main pages to look on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Flow Racing, Chili Bowl Nationals. Those are the 2 pages you can find the links. I will tell you on the Chili Bowl page, it is not the most recent post. It seems to be the second most recent post, so you will have to scroll down a little bit, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it on the Flow Racing feed as well. So that is really cool. I love this. This is some new interaction for fans and everybody in this building to vote 2 drivers that you feel like are deserving to be in the Race of Champions tomorrow night to make it a 20-car field. So go to Flow's social media pages or the Chili Bowl's event pages and check that out. Cast your vote. You got until tomorrow at noon Central Time to get your vote in. Yeah.
Well, let's get to your cars on the racetrack. You saw Tyler Courtney sitting there in the 57 car. Welcome back, Tyler. Nice to have Sunshine with us again. Kyle Simon out of Covington, Ohio in car number 23, rolling through the second corner.
Tyler Courtney, a 6-time Saturday night feature starter at the Chili Bowl, a couple of top 10s. Looking for his first career driller. Had a really rough Tulsa shootout, but same thing with Logan Seavey. That's
past results are not
completely
indicative
different ballgame.
of
Yep.
future performance, especially when you're moving micro to midget. Rolling around on the high side in the 5.
Michael Stewart, Chili Bowl rookie this year in that Zach Dom prepared King chassis. It's the first time Dom's 5D has been on the racetrack since a pretty hard crash at Millbridge back in May. He didn't run the 5D after that. He jumped into the Trifecta 7U. We'll talk more about that later. But so the first time the 5D has actually been out for Dom in a while, and he's got Michael Stewart behind the wheel of that.
One of the Josh Ford Motorsports cars, 73D, David Gasper. Gasper in 73D. Coming in behind them, Fredrickson Farms, number 2. It's Casey Fredrickson out of Iowa. I feel like we say this a lot, but another 305 guy coming down from the Midwest and here to show himself well. '17 Wyatt Rotz, Spring Run, Pennsylvania, the home for the driver.
So again, vote for the last 2 entrants into the O'Reilly International Race of Champions tomorrow night by going to the Chili Bowl Nationals Facebook and Twitter page or the Flow Racing Facebook and Twitter page. I'm sure it's somewhere on Instagram as well and whatever social media platforms you like.
Jace McIntosh, the 08.
Older brother
J.
of Cannon, 08J.
Cannon looking to reclaim his Mr. Monday Night title once again.
He's done it 3 times now.
Yep. As we'll go green. Should be about practice session number 22 by our count.
Do we see Corey Day?
We do not.
He was scheduled to be in this one. Again, it's not a huge deal if you're a session late or a session early. No, there he is.
And there he is.
Xander Engineering 41, the Willie Kane owned entry for Corey this year at the Chili Bowl.
Factory Cage Shocks house car entry. Hooks the cushion, gets a little upset. Talk about a young man who has getting a lot of headlines this offseason.
Yeah, he will be in the race at Champions tomorrow night. Was invited in by the Chili Bowl just because of what he's been able to accomplish on the West Coast, in particularly NARC Championship in 2023 and Knoxville Nationals Rookie of the Year. Corey has done so much, and it is only the beginning for Corey Day.
Sunshine. Whipping around the corner, quickly down to the bottom groove. The car looks maneuverable. That's good news for Tyler. He's having a car that can get from high to low whenever you need it to and have the power be there.
Don't forget how good of a midget racer Tyler Courtney is. Of course, has been prominent in wing sprint cars the last couple of years, a couple all-star championships, but prior to that ran midgets full-time and was really competitive. Anywhere he showed up, to any USAC race, he was a threat to win, has always been good at the Chili Bowl. Of course, he took last year off, but that he shouldn't have any problem getting comfortable in a midget in this building again.
That is a Tier 1 selection, depending on what pool you're looking at, and Tyler Courtney.
Corey Day, it's his third Chili Bowl. His first one was with Clausen Marshall back in 2022. He started that year, ran 17th. Last year, he ran it with Matt Wood Racing, missed the show. This year, his third Chili Bowl and a third different ride in the Kane 41, trying to get into the main for a second time.
Down the ramp they go. Practice day here at the Chili Bowl with you for another, I'll say, hour or so-ish on the broadcast. Caleb Hart, Connor Wade. We will be joined by the same cast of characters that was with us a week and change ago. We'll have Clinton Boyles in the booth a few nights. Nights we don't have him, we will strive to have another driver, somebody familiar with the seats who will be here to give us some color commentary. Chris Wilner will be with us. Earl Hoon is here. Both Chris and Earl in the building doing a little reporting and a little checking for us. Look
There's
at
Wilner.
that. Chris is wandering through the grandstands as we speak. So both Chris is with us, Earl's with us again. Chris Moore flying his way in as we speak. Nice to have him back, and Brian Ward will be in from the Go-Kart Wars here a little bit later tonight.
Earl's first Chili Bowl on the broadcast crew, so looking forward to that. Jason Persley on track in the 86, his first time in the CB Industries car.
Had a real fun conversation with him yesterday about repercussions of his wreck from a few years ago and what he still deals with in terms of what you would say physical limitations are, but he doesn't really look at them like that. He looks at them as, okay, I just got to deal with this. So
Come back really strong and loves being in the race car, and that injury didn't hinder his progress as a driver at all. Got to see him break into sprint cars in 2023, do really good on the non-wing side of things. I believe he's in the Team AZ car full-time next year, so that'll be cool. And again, his debut with CB Industries coming here at the Chili Bowl.
Behind them, Second Opinion Auto guys have about 6 cars back there.
Tanner Berryhill in that one in the 2B. Flo did a really cool content piece. I think it was recorded last year, but our good friend Matthew Dillner did it. The Berryhill family, Tanner's grandfather, I believe it was, owned the Chili Bowl restaurant that sponsored this event at first. So Tanner's family background in this event and how this event began and how it got its name is really cool. So his family's had a lot of involvement in this event over the years. Go check that piece out. It's been circulating on social media. It's on the Flow platform, I'm sure, somewhere. Really cool piece that Gilmer did.
If you're not paying attention to the Flow Racing social media during the week, by the way, our content team knocks it out of the ballpark. They did it all during the shootout. They're going to do it all over again here during the bowl. Some of the best behind the scenes and little extra to the stories that we may not have time to tell while we're on the air. So keep track of that. You're going to be wanting to visit the Flow Racing tile early and often. And again, keeping your eyes out on our Facebook and Twitter as well. So there's some great behind the scenes content.
Big wheel stand there by Jake Swanson from Anaheim, California, the Alex Bowman Racing Ally 55A. He's going to get to the inside here of AJ Hernandez, I believe that is.
Swanson looking awfully good. It's a good start for him.
Paul May is back behind the wheel, folks. He doesn't get back behind the wheel much these days, but Paul was a wheelman in a sprint car back in the day. I don't remember him doing a ton of midget stuff, but making a run at the Chili Bowl this year, why not? Of course, he's not a busy week as is, managing the Chase Briscoe racing cars. F5 Devin Simmons on track. There's the 16th seed David Camfield Jr., the second Camfield we've seen on the track this afternoon. Pursley ripping in the 86. If you just tuned in, no live timing and scoring. That's not a Flow broadcast thing. That is a
it's a house thing.
Event staff thing. They didn't deal with transponders or anything like that today. That'll, of course, be up and running tomorrow whenever we go racing. So
Keeps it easy.
Old school today. We got the eye test.
Yeah, it keeps it easy. You think about it. There's 370 cars in the building. They each get 2 practice sessions. So you've got, I don't know, 740 transponders on and off over the course of the day, and then input into the system.
Total of 80 practice sessions. So, yeah.
Give these guys give the event crew as light of a day as you possibly can, right?
Well, they worked so hard during shootout here all day, every day, and then, I mean, basically the same for Chili Bowl. Maybe you show up an hour or two later, but still working hard pretty much all day, every day.
It's weird to think that this is the easy week comparatively
right,
for the staff, but in a lot of ways it is. You know, you grind through the shootout, those long, just on the broadcast perspective, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. days, but, all of the event staff is here at the same time going through, again, if you're on the transponder side of it, if you're on the officiating side of it, track crew, etc. Those guys get a little bit of an easier run here. That's only like a, noon to midnight day here at the Bowl.
So this is a really cool story. Cale Drake had a great year on the micro scene, won the Power Eye not only Outlaw Micro Championship in 2023, really showed his ability to contend at the big micro races around the country. And Cale ran second in the KTM Give Back Classic. The winner of that event was Davin Miller. And of course, when you win the KTM Give Back Classic, you have a choice. You either get a Chili Bowl ride with KTM, or you get $15,000. And Davin, of course, already had a Chili Bowl ride with KTM, so there was no reason for him to even think about that. He took the $15,000. And a really nice partnership between Keith Coons, Page Construction, Power Eye, Flow Racing. I think Max Pappas Innovations maybe had something to do with this. Everybody, all of Keith Coons' great partners with the KTM Give Back Classic, they all chipped in, and they decided to put the runner-up from that event, Cale Drake, in a KTM ride for the Chili Bowl. He went out west and ran Turkey Night in that car, and Keith was really, really impressed with Cale and how he got off to a start in the 71K. So excited to see what Cale can do in that car for the Chili Bowl this week. And we've seen other guys like Jesse Colwell, I remember, won the Give Back, got the Chili Bowl ride. Keith liked him, was like, hey, we're going to make this happen. We're going to pull the funding together for you to run the car a whole year. Colwell went out and won a Power Eye championship. So who knows? This might just be the beginning for Cale Drake and KTM. I have a feeling it will be, so I think Cale's going to be really impressive in that car.
Should be an exciting story to follow, right?
Yeah.
As quite the opportunity, not just here for this event, but opening up doors long term in the racing world.
Cale had a really nice shootout with Frank DeLucia this past year. We talked about him quite a bit. Didn't take home any drillers, but won several heat races and qualifiers and was in a couple main events as well. So
Forward
4H, Caleb Paget.
If only he spelled it the right way. Caleb coming to us out of Madisonville, Texas. Texas-based driver. Old school on the hood and nose setup.
I love it.
Right? Thing looks good. Well, engines are fired up. They'll bring the cars up to speed.
A little tight right there.
But he's got a brand new left front tire on.
That he
You can
does.
still see the sticker on it. Rolls down the back straightaway, tries the inside groove through 3 and 4.
Did you see a lot of like that style hoods on midgets back in the day? I remember them a lot on sprint cars, but I don't remember like that style.
So let's take
on midgets at times.
Let's take a look and see what Paget's running. I would bet you his car number was the 4, is it right?
Yeah, 4H.
I will bet you that that's a Stealth. I could be wrong. Most of the time I am. But I always associated that hood style with the Stealth. 4H. I'm wrong. It's an Ellis.
Okay.
So, that's very early 2000s.
Yeah.
Right? Now you've got a lot of people who have gone to the Keith Kunz Motorsports style hood design for two reasons. One, it's light.
Right.
Your 3 pieces of aluminum paneling in there that's designed to work as both a scoop and side bite methodology. 2, you look at that hood on the Paget car, that's all one piece. You got to get that all into one box to ship the
Right.
thing if you're buying it new. Whereas the Keith Kunz Motorsports style hood, and I don't know if we'll pick up Cale Drake again or not, but it's modular. It's 3 individual flat pieces that you
Right.
lay down in a flat box and ship for 1/3 of the price. So lighter and easier to ship around if necessary.
There's a look
There you
right
go.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty much the hood and body that you see on pretty much all the midgets in the
It's
building.
become
this week.
pretty stock standard, right? Look at it, another very similar design hood here on the 7W or 7M of
That's
Mike
Mike
Hess. Good to see. We had seen that he got involved in a tangle up earlier. He's got her all fixed up. So, the race director for the High Limit Sprint Car Series.
And when Hess ran the Chili Bowl a couple of years ago, I don't remember if he's ran it since then or not, but was leading a heat race before I think had some sort of an issue. So Hess was a really good midget racer back in the day, man. Power Eye champ, 100 winner, Eldora track record holder. Mike Hess can wheel a midget. It's still there, I believe it.
Rylan Gray in car number 83.
Young Indiana native.
I'm watching the YouTube chat that's going on from the live stream.
Oh boy.
It's devolved to a point where they're talking about cats. But it's practice day, right? All this is drivers out there shaking their cars down, making sure that their speed's about where it's supposed to be. You're not going to see guys come out and by and large go, man, we're junk, we need to throw wholesale changes at this. It's tinkering more
Right.
than anything else. So as the next group rolls on down, glad to have you guys in with us. Another 40 minutes or so, ballpark here on our coverage from the 2024 Chili Bowl Midget Nationals on Flow Racing.
I saw Cruz Pedregon was in the building. Haven't seen him in person, but he tweeted that he was watching practice earlier this morning, and we're going to see one of his 2 Cruz Pedregon Racing owned entries on the racetrack here. Trey Osborne, Chili Bowl rookie, will be out in the 1A.
We saw Tony Pedregon's kid competing
Yep.
with us at the Tulsa Shootout. It was Desi Pedregon?
Yep.
That was cool. Next generations of drivers coming up through open wheel from whatever realm of the world they're coming from. Whether it be drag strips or quads.
There's one that I'm excited to watch. Jade Evedissian, last year's Chili Bowl Rookie of the Year podium on her prelim for CB Industries. Goes out, has a huge year with Keith Kunz Motorsports. Breaks through to become the first female national midget champion by winning the Extreme Outlaw Midget Series Championship. And it's her first Chili Bowl with Keith Kunz Motorsports. Jade has a lot on her plate in 2024. Still going to do some midget stuff, but going to mix in some road course racing as well. And I know I obviously talked to Jade a lot over the course of 2023 and saw her grow and go through the ups and downs of a season and see her really grind to get that championship. And she has been talking all year about her first Chili Bowl with KTM, especially as good as she was last year. Jade is really, really excited for this week.
I really hope that as her career continues to develop and move forward, and she's stated a goal of ending up in the high end of the NASCAR ranks. That's public knowledge at this point in time. But
Yep.
I really hope that she gets enough time to continue on with her dirt open wheel career. That way she can continue to come and break down barriers. You know, we've got such a strong generation of drivers right now that are coming up and through, gender regardless,
Yeah.
that Jade is a part of. And I really hope that she gets to continue on with the momentum she's built and continue to do big things in our world.
She is one of the best rising young stars in all the motorsports. Just turned 17 years old a couple months ago, so she's excited for this Chili Bowl, as she should be. Of course, with Keith's success in this building, 9 Chili Bowl wins, and as good as she was here last year in her first Chili Bowl.
I mean, talk about moving from good situation to good
Right,
situation,
exactly, yeah.
right? There's, she went from a good camp and good car to another really good camp and really good car. Oh. Connor, we have news. We have apparently armed Earl Hoon with a microphone today.
Just what Earl needs. Earl was working hard, though. There were some guys that had problems.
Yeah, he's hunting down the stories for us.
Yeah, throughout practice
Investigative reporter Earl Hoon.
Well, good afternoon, fellas. How are
Hello,
you?
sir. I'm glad to see you didn't have flight trouble this time.
Well, I did, but didn't. Unfortunately, we had a heck of a snowstorm up in central PA to where I had to rearrange a couple things, but neither, it's been a long 24 hours for me. But regardless, it is great to be back in Tulsa, great to be back together with you guys and kick off Chili Bowl week.
Are you excited for Chili Bowl #1?
I truly am. Actually, this is my third Chili Bowl inside here, but this is my first working it with you guys, and yeah, I'm pretty excited. I mean, I have not been able to sleep really since I got home from the shootout.
Well, good. It's a little different when you get to see it from behind the curtain, but we're excited to have you. Earl, the Prince of Port Royal Speedway, Earl Hoon, part of our broadcast team this week, is on your screen. That is the guy who picked up a golden driller last week in micro competition. It's Blake Hahn, and Jade Avedisian stalled right in the middle of the racetrack.
Caution.
Everybody avoids somehow.
Earl gave us a great update earlier on Spencer Baston in the 1S after Baston got upside down.
EH, who are you excited to see this week? Have you already circled some of the drivers that you're really excited to see here in action live?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is the who's who, not only in midget racing, but in motorsports overall. I mean, yeah, last week we said it was the mecca for micros, and look how many heavy hitters showed up for the event. But break down this entire field. We have 370 drivers signed up for the week, and as Chili Bowl always is known for, it's a who's here. I'm still taking a tour around the pits, but I do want to give you guys an update on Jason McDougal.
Okay.
Just visited with those guys, and they had some driveline issues. They're still looking to car over, but they said she'll just replace the whole driveline, motor, whatever they need to do, and they'll be fine for the rest of the week.
All right, sweet. Awesome. Way better to catch that early in the week on practice day than it is to have something jump up middle of your prelim night, because that's not an easy fix on these cars.
Zach Hampton caught a piece of the cushion right there in the 22J. Hampton taking over the second Team Jack Foundation entry this year. Colby Copeland on track in 27W.
One of the three-headed, ooh, it's Avedisian again.
Same spot, too. A little higher on the racetrack this time, but
I was saying, Copeland, one of the three-headed promoting dragon that is of the Silver Dollar Speedway out in Chico, California, along with some guy named Brad and some guy named Kyle, who I hear are pretty popular. They have their hands in a lot of fires this year. Colby's done a good job helping that facility out there.
Yeah, for
definitely.
sure.
Chico's making a comeback. So.
And Colby's a heck of a race car driver, too. Love watching him get behind the wheel. He's ran several Chili Bowls now with Mount Wood Racing, as I mentioned, so it'll be fun to watch this week.
Hey, Brian Stanfield's watching on Flow today. Hey, Brian. Hope you start feeling better since he's been feeling a little bit ill. Something Connor and I can relate to.
Yeah, it's that time of year for sure.
Goodness gracious, yes it is. Although back to close to full strength.
Brian's supposed to be running this week, so hopefully he feels better. I don't know what night he's out, but hopefully he feels...
Heading to Tulsa Tuesday night.
Oh, perfect. Well, feel better. Trey Osborne in the 1A for Cruz Pendragon.
Wow, that's a sharp-looking car.
Very.
Who's the X? Well,
That is Charlie Loudon,
like it. Simple.
Camden, Arkansas.
Hampton, one of the Team Jack cars, ends up over here in the wall up right next to us in the Brian Kapinski Announce Center. Zach Hampton, Mooresville, Indiana. That is a Triple X with an Eslinger underneath it. Team Jack Foundation A1 Materials, Mark Birch Motorsports.
Don Drought in the other 22, as always.
I thought I saw 3 cars back with that camp.
Okay, maybe.
Let's
Let
take
me
a
take
look.
a look
We've got
here.
the list. All right, so they're coming out with a water truck, and while they do that, we're going to take another very, very quick time out. You guys are watching live coverage of the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals live here on Flow Racing. Welcome back to our live coverage of the 2024 Chili Bowl practice here on Flow Racing. Coverage all week long for the bowl, brought to you by NOS Energy Drink. Huge thank you to NOS powering us here in the booth and all the different places we're going to be over the course of the week as we get ready for this Chili Bowl, the 38th running of it. Caleb Hart, Connor Wade, hanging out for a little bit longer here.
There's the GOAT rolling down the ramp. We're going to get to see his practice session today out for the second time. 25-time A-Main starter at the Chili Bowl. He goes for 26. He is a 5-time winner of the event. Sammy Swindell, we'll see him on track here in this upcoming group. Shelby Hinton, Sean Jackson, Kevin Cook, Chase Young, Alex Bright, Dylan Welch, Cade Cowles, Colton Cottle, Bradley Fazzard also slated to go.
Is it fair at this point to ask what your expectations are of Sammy at this event? No longer a full-time racer by any means, right? He's not in a car every weekend, at a racetrack any weekend.
Yeah, it's still Sammy, though.
It's still
right?
Sammy.
And I heard a clip that I think I actually saw on TikTok, weirdly enough. It was an interview with Sammy, and I don't remember if it was from last year or maybe earlier this year or earlier in the week on loading day. I'm not exactly sure when it was, but it was Sammy saying, you give me a car that can compete with these guys, I'll still beat them if the situation's right. So the confidence for Sammy is still there, 100%. Until Sammy Swindell says, I can't do it, I'm always going to believe in Sammy.
I would have a hard time betting against Sammy, right?
You can't do it.
It would be hard not to bet on him. We'll see.
There's one of the...
time is the great enemy of everyone.
Yeah, for
right?
sure. You're right. And Sammy would probably tell you, like, the last couple of years, like, he hasn't been the Sammy that we knew in this building.
Not
right?
up to the standard.
But it's still Sammy.
We know he's got power.
For sure.
Right? We know the power is there. The question is, can they find that little bit of extra handle that hasn't been there for the last few years?
But guys, how can you not love that competitive spirit that Sammy has? You said it. He's 70 years old. He knows he could still win. He knows he can still beat these younger drivers. I mean, how can you not love that? I mean, I was watching him looking over the car before he came out on the track, and he's typical Sammy. You know, he doesn't want to be bothered with, doesn't want to be talked with. You know, he's just looking over the car, about to strap in. But how can you not love that he's 70 years old and he's still coming to the biggest midget race of the year and try to get another Golden Driller?
And expects to be good at it, too. I absolutely love the mindset.
He's had some bad luck in this building, right? Like, he's had, there's been a couple times where he's, been stuck starting in the back of a heat race or qualifier, and, something happens in front of him.
There's been a couple of times that bad luck has been manufactured.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can blame some on circumstance. You can also say that, like, the one car has put itself at risk a little bit more over the last couple of years than it used to.
I want to see Sammy make the feature this year. I think he can do it. I think he believes he can do it.
Wednesdays are wide open again.
Yep, that's very true. I would love to see it.
You got to look at Dylan Welch while we're sitting there. Welch, King chassis with a Toyota underneath it. Should be a fun ride for Dylan. Excited for the world's fastest announcer to get back out on the raceway.
Yeah, we chatted with him yesterday while they were getting the seat mounted. I think he said it was his first time driving a King chassis, so a little bit of a new experiment for him, working with Chris Lewis, Al Scroggins, who is certainly no stranger to wrenching on midgets, and the Joby Miller camp, so we'll see what Dylan can do.
Colt Cottle running a Stealth for Jason and Rick Burdick. That's the yellow 81C that you see exiting turn number 2.
Caught a look at Shelby Hinton in the 4B. Talked about him a little bit earlier in the Clyde Enterprises 4B machine. Hinton, the former Now 600 National Micro Champion.
Had a good shootout.
He did, yeah.
Which, it's apples and oranges, but really, you'd much rather have a good shootout coming into the bowl and try to take that momentum forward than you would have struggled and go, oh, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah, it definitely can do a lot for confidence for sure. It'll be Shelby's second Chili Bowl. First was last year. In that cars were green, 9P, Kevin Cook, Winchester, Indiana. There's a look at 7J. That's Sean Jackson from Delaware.
Seen this driver do some things a time or two.
Got a message from somebody checking in from Hanoi, Vietnam
No kidding.
to Chili Bowl practice.
We're
So,
international as you're getting a look at Alex Bright on the inside, now up on the high side of the speedway.
Bradley Fazzard, former now 600 and Power I Micro champion, has jumped up into the midget ranks the last couple of years. 70K cows from Coweta, Oklahoma. Quietly had a good shootout as well, Caleb.
Yes, he did. Made a lot out of what he had, did
Yep.
well with it. The Fazzard car is the highest numbered car in the field, by the way.
Easily. By a lot, I think.
There is a TBA, which has not decided its number yet. And then there is an X, which is Charlie Loudon. But yeah, 938 for Fazzard.
And 617 numbers down is Chad Winfrey, 321.
70 numbers down from that to Johnny Brown at 251.
Okay, I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
you really don't have to.
I don't.
You really don't have to worry about duplicating numbers when you're up that high in the triple digits, right?
Yeah, very true.
Always kind of one of the fun things to go, okay, how many different letters are we going to have behind all of the numbers this year? What would you guess is the most lettered number this year, if that makes any sense? Which number's got the most duplicates of it requiring
So,
letters?
for some reason, when I was scrolling the entry list earlier, there were a lot of 22s.
Okay.
So you'll have to take a look at those. There's a decent amount of like 77s, 75s,
There's a lot of ones.
71s, a lot of 71s.
How many are we considering M1 a variation of one?
I think you have to.
Okay, so there's an M1, there's a P1, there's a 1, a 1A, a 1H, a 1HD, a 1I, a 1K, a 1M, a 1P, a 1S, and a 1Z.
Yeah. There's also a lot of 71s. A couple of them, of course, from KKM, but
There's a lot of 2s. 0, 2, 2, 2B, 2D, 2E, 2F, 2H, 2J, 2MD, 2ND, 2R, 2S, 2W, and 2Z.
you just never.
All right, I'm going to count this not on the air, but I kind of want to find that out.
We watched this car practice at Port City the other day. That is Wout Hofmans out of the Netherlands in the 48N, part of the Chandler Grand Prix racing team.
He was having a hard time getting that thing fired. For a
Yeah, they
little
were
while.
having
We saw
some
him-
issues with it.
Now, teammate car to him, the 00 of Ryder
Ryder LaPlante. Oh, yeah.
That car looked really good at Port City.
It did,
Like,
yeah.
we noticed when he got to his power, because truly, you don't get to a lot of your power here in the midget at the Bowl or at Port City, which is
Especially
even
at Port
smaller.
City, right?
But when Ryder got to his power, it was snappy.
it was quick.
right there. Bob Chandler's got those things. That car in
In
particular.
a track like Port
humming.
City, as small as that place is, you see a lot of guys either carry a ton of momentum going into the corner right, and then they have to stall, they hit the brake, and they're kind of playing with the wheel a little bit, trying to find the best line to get through the corners. Then other guys won't come in hot enough. LaPlante just got through so seamlessly, I thought. So I'm excited to see what Ryder can do here at the Chili Bowl.
Guys, I want to butt in here just a second. I
Okay.
came back to Spencer Baston's pit area,
Mm-hmm.
and earlier we announced to the crowd that after his big turnover he had during his practice session, that he had a couple, broken shocks, whatnot. But now looking at it, they actually got the welder out, and they're making some welds to the chassis on the right side, right by the engine. So
Bottom rail?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So they're taking that back together. It looks like just assessing other damages, but at first he said the chassis was all right. Remember, as you guys noted, this is the same chassis that he ran last year. But yeah, now they looked and they do have some chassis damage to where they had to weld a couple things on the right side.
So on that repair that they're doing back there, Earl, are they welding closer to the cockpit side of the engine, or are they welding more towards the front nose of that?
More toward the front nose of that, almost
Okay.
like just to right where the front clip is.
Okay, so one of the interesting things on these midgets, and I don't remember if we talked about it during the shootout run, is that a lot of them, as opposed to a traditional sprint car, everybody has a rear motor plate where you're attaching the motor to, right? A lot of the midgets will not run a front motor plate that allows the motor to kind of it move up and down or flex within the cockpit as well, causing flex zones in the front of the car. Well, you get a flex zone, you make a wreck in it, and without that motor bolted in to stiffen it up, you're more prone to weld breakage and bendage and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's exactly what we see. Maybe that's the reasoning. Some teams will choose to run a front motor plate on their motors on this, but could very well be a case of what they have going on and something they're trying to fix because of that.
Yeah, well, either way, that's 1S team with their work cut out for them. Already on practice day, that's the 7DK of Darren Kaufman that backed the car into turn 3. Bringing out the yellow here in session 17. We'll be with you guys about 20 more minutes here on Flow. We'll see if they get Kaufman refired.
We got folks watching in Perth at the moment, home of the Perth
Okay.
Motorplex, which has been a
Man,
center for sprint car racing here in the last little bit.
to say the least, the videos I've seen of that place. I never want to skip the shootout of the Chili Bowl, but I might have to get down there one
Yeah.
time and watch it.
Jason Crow, track announcer down
So-
there, is a frequent tuner-inner to our broadcast.
It's got to be technically possible. I know the time change would hurt you a little bit. It's technically got to be possible to. I think you could leave the day after Chili Bowl and still make it down in time for the Classic. I think. It'd be hard to do because of the time change, and you'd be jet lagged and you'd be tired as heck. But
At
I
the
think
same
it's actually
time,
possible. isn't
Go
it?
from Chili Bowl Saturday night to the.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, you're talking the dream now.
I'm gonna have to do it one year. 8X Jeff Schindler, 68W Chance from Snohomish, Washington. Caleb, a driver you're very familiar with.
Absolutely, one of the most humble and kind young men that you're going to find, and a heck of a race car driver at that. Good opportunity for him this year running the second Ronnie Gardner car. Cruising up and around, that is the 20C, as we got two cars together off the bottom of the corner. Kaufman again in the 7. And I want to say that's Steve Buckwalter's 25. Try to get a look at the list. Yes, that should be Steve Buckwalter in the 25, tangled up with Darren Kaufman in the 7DK.
Steve Buckwalter is one of those drivers that is eligible for the fan vote to get into the O'Reilly Race of Champions tomorrow night. Again, go to the Chili Bowl or Flow Racing's social media accounts to check out how you can vote for one driver. The top 2 drivers in voting will be selected as the 19th and 20th entrants into the Race of Champions tomorrow night. Something new this year. Really, really cool thing that the Chili Bowl put together.
Big good afternoon to the Drake family watching up in Sumas, putting lightning sprints together for the Deming Speedway season. As you get a look, we're high centered.
Steve Buckwalter in 25B. The officials lifting up the rear end of that car, get it pushed over the berm. I need to make it to Deming.
Yes, you do.
I would love to, man. The pictures I see, it looks so cool.
Well,
Skagit as well.
Your year is going to be pretty busy this year.
It will be. We'll
Less
see if-
busy than last year, but definitely involved. So,
Hey guys, I'm going to butt in here while we have some time.
welcome back in.
Got Blake Hahn here, and well, congratulations last week on getting another Golden Driller, but now it's Chili Bowl week, and the intensity picks up a little bit, right? And you were out there for your practice session, so how'd the car feel?
Oh, we were really good. You know, the first session, the track was really good, had some good moisture, and finally there it started slicking off so we could kind of try some stuff. I was a little snug in the first one, so we didn't try to change a whole lot, but we have a really good car here, so we've got a good balanced car underneath us, so we look really forward to Wednesday so we can hopefully put it on the podium.
With getting a Golden Driller last weekend, does that kind of ease the butterflies for this week?
It definitely helps. It boosts my confidence a ton, and anytime you can roll into this building with confidence, that helps. So I'm just happy to be here with a good car, and you know, anytime you can start the week with a good balance under the car, it means a lot. So we're happy to be here. We're happy to have these awesome partners with Rocket Donkey and Velocity jumping on board, and we're just hoping to put on a good show for the fans.
Guys, Blake Hahn looking to go back-to-back here in 2 weeks to get another Golden Driller.
Thanks, Earl. We're back to action in this practice session.
Thanks, Easy Earl.
Section 17 or so, somewhere in there.
In that ballpark. There's a look at Hoffman's again in that 48. They seem to have those issues ironed out. Car looked like it was up to full horsepower right there.
Got one backed in up here into the corner once again.
It's AJ Sarna in 20C. You remember on his prelim night last year, I think it was turn 3, he got into the wall, biked really good, almost got upside down, swung around, landed on all fours, and kept going.
Was that Sarna?
I believe it was Sarna.
Okay.
It was pretty impressive.
All right. Your recall is good on that one.
We'll have to find a replay or a video of it somewhere.
Well, you could just dip into the expansive Flow Racing archives.
Yeah, I
Right,
could.
where-
You got to scroll back all the way, though. I'm sure I can just Google CJ Sarna. There might be a video.
The
of it.
problem being is there's so much content to
Right.
get through to get there, right? Like we do.
Oh, look who it is.
Tons of stuff.
So if you see Walkipedia on Twitter, you never see the face of Walkipedia, and you actually don't see it now. You just see his back and his legs. But once he turns, you might catch half of his face. That is Brian Walker, Walkipedia.
Yes, he is the stats man.
Yes.
He is the PR guy for the High Limit Sprint Car Series. Also, for all of your quick point scoring information here at the Chili Bowl, he has the unofficial results as fast as anybody. So, good follow as well for a lot of random trivia and stuff that's at Walkipedia on Twitter or X or whatever the heck you want to call it these
He
days.
will tell you everything you need to know.
Again, the points are unofficial, though, coming from Walkipedia. The only official points let out there by any means of any kind is from the CB Nationals social media account, followed on Facebook and Twitter as well. To which they'll tell you that he doesn't always catch all the DQs or the stuff that may happen after the fact, and that's why they say the only official status for that.
Session 16 is on the racetrack, about to be fired off. There's a guy I'm going to be watching this year. Chase McDermott led the Extreme Outlaw Midget Tour and wins in 2023, but departs the team he did it with, Mountain Stout Motorsports, to go and drive the 7U for Trifecta. And going into this event, they know this is a one-off for Chase and Trifecta because
Yep.
Chase is going to go to Dave McDolby. He's going to run for a national championship with that team. So this is a one-off, and you've got McDermott, who finished on the podium in his prelim night last year, made the feature out of the B on Saturday in his third Chili Bowl. And then you've got the 7U team, which quietly had a heck of a year last year in Chili Bowl with Kyle Jones. I think 16th to 4th on the prelim and then 6th in the finale. So it's a partnership I'm really, really excited to watch
We've
this week.
we've now seen all three of the 7U
Yep.
of that group,
Yep.
5 of Jacinto, the 7 here at McDermott, and
9U of Spence.
and the 9U of Spence. That's a really talented team full of good drivers. They got a good mechanic there in Janky Bobby and good equipment.
And Chase is one of the, for as young as he is, he's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of talent as well. So it was fun to watch him night in and night out in 2023 break through and win some really good races and run with the best. So Tony Helton in 17K, Cloverdale, Indiana. That's where Mr. Helton calls home, and we're green.
Racetrack's still in really good condition here as that little bit of water they've been applying in and through it has kept it racy for everybody. Look out. That is Scott Evans in the 116. Former guy that we called Micro Guy.
Yep.
Has everything full-sized and midget-sized now. '44 of Colton Hardy. Got a very good shootout week himself. Look at the polish job on engine and headers in the left.
It's very good.
That's pretty stout.
Noticed that car in the pit area yesterday. Landon Brent, car 60, Memphis, Tennessee driver.
And yellow lights are on. So you guys know we are closing in the end of the enhanced coverage, the coverage with color here between me and Connor. We've got about 2 more groups left to go that we're going to run here. However, we will go back to our fixed camera positions for the rest of the practice session. So we've got 2 more coming up as the 2-seater comes and rolls out there. So that means session 16, session 15 are going to be the last 2 that we have in this. There's some
Yeah, we'll call it 15
amalgamation.
and 14.
15 and 14. So 13 through 1, you are still going to get to see it. We're just going to go back to fixed camera positioning, and you won't have us yakking in your ears for the rest of that. So 2 more to go on this one. We
You'll
appreciate
get-
you being here the whole way through.
You'll get plenty of us this week.
So tomorrow, you'll be able to jump back on the air with us. We're going live at 3:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that's 4:45 out on the East Coast, 1:45 out on the West Coast for your live coverage here at the Chili Bowl Nationals. Again, 3:45 Central is when we are going to take the air tomorrow as part of our all-day coverage of the 38th Annual Chili Bowl Nationals here on Flow Racing. Tonight, don't forget, when we are done here, be ready for the Wild West Modified Shootout. The Wild West Shootout, I should say, sorry.
Late models and modifieds.
Late models and mods. Gonna be fun out at Vado. Main event was killer last night, and you won't want to miss it. Ben Sheldon, Dustin Jarrett, the whole crew down there ready to bring it to you. So we'll step away, and you guys can just roll on through to the other tab where that's up and going. Click tile, up and rolling. As we're going to take a quick time out, we are back with 2 more practice sessions coming up, watching live coverage of the 2024 Chili Bowl Practice Day here on Flow Racing. Welcome back. It's practice day here at the Expo Raceway, the SageNet Center in downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma. And you are watching live coverage of it on Flow Racing. Caleb Hart, Connor Wade with you. Earl Hoon wandering somewhere around the pit area trying to find stories or trouble or whatever it is that Earl's out there doing. Earl, you there? You listening? Okay, he might be. We'll check, make sure. We only have a couple more sessions to cover, although, again, the cameras will be live through that.
There he is.
You weren't busy watching the Eagles lose by 24 at the moment, right?
Okay,
Earl?
we don't have to talk about the NFL right now, guys, and Philadelphia Eagles. I understand they are not a second-half team right now, but I have a driver here with me that was able to watch this past summer in Central PA with Shark Racing, Mr. Tanner Holmes, and me from being Central PA. I want to get your perspective on how was it to run at some of the most famous speedways in all of America back home?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, shoot, quickly, like a place like Port Royal kind of jumped way up my list on, one of my favorite racetracks. We had one really good night there, and just interesting to get to see Williams Grove. Also, not too far, we ran Sharon, which I had been one time before, but got some more laps in Eldora, and it's kind of hard to beat the experience I got. I kind of tell people that everyone should go spend a couple months with Bobby Allen. They'd probably learn a lot of stuff about the sport and how to make a team go around. So I'm very lucky.
Bobby Allen was able to celebrate a big birthday last weekend. And what's it mean to have him behind your corner and giving you a lot of perspective on how to get around those big half miles back home?
It was awesome, because Bobby not only has, drove the cars, but he's worked on them. He's ran the team. He kind of could show me all aspects of, Shark Racing. And then, of course, a guy to lean on, Logan, and even Jake, too, through the whole entire process. So you just have a team that's competed at the highest level for a long time. It's really important to have people like that and sped up my learning curve at some of those places. And overall, now I can't wait to go back to them. I think I'll be, quite a few steps ahead of the game.
Now let's talk about your 2024 plans, because maybe some people don't know exactly, follow you on social media. By the way, you do a killer job at that. So what are your 2024 plans for this year?
I think mainly right now we're just going to try to run as much as we possibly can with our family car. kind of throughout the whole entire country. Knoxville is going to be another big goal for us. We focused on Knoxville last year. That benefited us. But try to run with the Outlaws and High Limit as much as possible and just chase the biggest money shows. We wanted to kind of jump on a national tour. I don't think we're necessarily going to be able to. But we're kind of just building our team up. So we're in kind of that process and trying to build, the top level to compete with these guys regularly.
Now, you were in competition last night in an Outlaw cart, so how did that go?
Shoot, we had a good night going. We were, it was a big race down in Shawnee, Oklahoma. I was running second, and my motor blew apart 15 laps into the race. So that's part of the game. We won that race last year. This year, we didn't have the luck on our side, but just having fun, trying to stay behind the wheel this winter and stay busy. February is going to be here before we know it, and our cars will be on track, in just a couple weeks.
How do you feel in your car here this week?
So far, so good. I got a couple laps earlier, and I'm about to go out for my second session. So just trying to get acclimated quicker. I don't have a lot of laps in a midget, but luckily they feel very similar to our Outlaw carts. And I think by the time Tuesday morning rolls around with our prelims starting, I should be just where I need to be.
Thank you for taking some time, and good luck.
Definitely. Thank you, guys.
That's Tanner Holmes, guys. I said it. If you don't already follow him on social media, please do so. This kid is absolutely the man when it comes to videos on YouTube, Facebook, whatever. He definitely lets you inside his life, lets you know what he does and everything he does with his family and his race car. So definitely keep your eye on Tanner Holmes here this week.
Echo that, Earl. Good job. Rapidly turning into one of the best interviews in the sport as well, quickly.
Sure.
As you get a look at another one of these guys who's social media savvy.
Yeah, team has Thomas Meserol, 10-time A-Main starter here at the Chili Bowl, and it's different this year.
It is.
Departed RMS towards the end of the year, got together with John Farrell and Tim Eendler. Of course, the EA Stealth Ford power plant that they've been running for a little bit. They wanted to continue to break it in. So not only do they have that power plant under the hood, but they have, as Team S calls it, the MF1, baby. The MF1 chassis, one of the new midget chassis that they built. They took it to the West Coast, and, well, to no fault of the chassis or the engine, well, it went pretty awful. They got upside down, didn't get to run every night on the West Coast swing. But they did run the Power Ice show at DuQuoin in December, and went really good. Came out on top. The first big win for the EA Stealth power plant in the MF1 chassis.
You can say that is a one of one, the only chassis and only motor combination like it. So if they succeed, they'll do it with something nobody else has. Should be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, we'll see. Could be an advantage over everybody else, but if it's not, well, then you're going to be pretty far off.
Should have Xavier.
Never know.
Should have Xavier Doney there in the 97X.
Yep.
Doney, beautiful gold lettered car as he rolls around the bottom here on our second to last practice session that we will have with commentary here on Flow Racing. Doney in 97X, another Missouri-based driver who's put up some good results.
22B, Troy Betts, I do believe, or is that G? That's
That is G,
Jack
yes.
France. Jack France in that machine.
Complete with the Union Jack on the tail tank.
Yep.
I like it. A little international flavor. Rolling in and behind him in car number 9.
Blake Bauer, 9A.
Brentwood, California-based driver. And there you see swinging to his outside. That should be Clint Woolbright in car number 80. Field idling around, rolling a bit of moisture into the top of the surface that was put down to try to make it through the rest of these practice sessions. Third entry we've seen out of the Rosie's Raceland group of cars. That is the 14X of Andy Pake out of Felton, Minnesota.
And they turn him loose. Session 15. For C, Cody Jessup. Madera, California native, gets off the berm there. Entering turn 3, came in with a full head of steam. There's Kyle Bielman. And David Dravel in the 58. Hard to believe, this is Dravel's 9th Chili Bowl, only one feature start on Saturday night. Took a year off, but back and joining with Abacus Racing, that MPV Express sponsored car.
got a good team behind him this week.
Very good.
See what David can do. Another look at Bielman. Floating around one of the Dave.com cars around the high groove. There's Timez off the bottom of the speedway. Now taking a turn to rip the lip.
Sporting Witts Racing products on the side of the 7X. 7T, I think they're calling it.
There's an X and a T. So it's the XT.
Only Timez.
Yeah, well, can't settle for one letter. Take two.
Right. Let's see what it is on the official entry list. I think it was 7T on there.
He's probably one of like about 8 billion sevens. That was going to be my guess as to the most popular number.
So it is 7T.
Is it?
officially, yeah,
Okay.
On the entry list. Now, there is also a 7X and a 7XT that are TBA, but they're both listed under RMS, so I don't, and RMS only has 2 cars here, I know for a fact, so I don't think the 7X or the 7XT are coming.
There are 20 different variations of 7 cars
That's great.
amongst the 370,
That is great.
according to the official driver information guide provided by the Chili Bowl. As this will be the last one for us here on commentary. Again, the live feed will continue. We'll go to a static cam so you can hopefully watch your favorite driver from one of the 13 remaining or so sessions that'll come after that. Shut the microphones down and we will get ready to hit the air at 3:45 Central tomorrow for coverage of night number 1 of the Chili Bowl Nationals.
57W, Landon Brooks, Rio Oso, California native. Comes from the Outlaw Kart ranks, has had a lot of success in NorCal. In Outlaw Karts, was a factory QRC driver.
Brooks had a really good year this year. Spent a lot of time under the Tyner Hurst banner out in California.
Early in the year, did some midget stuff with Extreme and had a couple good runs.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent there.
lot.
And it's starting to be unlocked. I expect better things from him in the future and across multiple different disciplines as well. It's one of the things you seem to see out of California-based drivers. It's not just I'm a wing sprint car driver. It's not just I do this, but they'll go run a midget. They'll go run a wingless sprint. They'll go run a wing 410, whatever it is. Somebody got a cage kart ride, cool. Run up and through. Let's do that for a night. You know what I mean? They get very varied in their skill set, and it seems to benefit them long term.
We've seen a lot of good drivers come from the West Coast. Jake Newman in 3N, New Berlin, Illinois native, former POWRi National Midget champion. That was in 2020. Former A-Main starter here, Chili Bowl as well. Looking to do that again. There is Tim Buckwalter, or is that Hank Davis?
Well, we saw Hank earlier.
So we may have seen Buckwalter earlier because it says on the session 14.
Take a look at the take a look at the visor.
It does say Buckwalter.
Yeah, so they made a swap.
They swap because it does
Yeah.
say Davis on the session 14 sheet, but
Well,
a little switch, not a big
I
deal.
want to say Timmy was up running. Was it the Gamblers Classic that was running
Yeah.
last night up in Atlantic City?
Okay.
So he might have had a late flight get in, and
We were being told by Earl it is Timmy Buckwalter.
what a monster run last year. You
Yeah.
remember that?
Oh,
Boy,
yeah.
just put on a clinic of running low.
Both
Really
Buckwalter,
nice.
Steve and Timmy, they can wheel race cars. Kyle Strickler, excited to see this Ford Performance Racing School. You've heard of the high side Titler through late models and modifieds, and the Titler is breaking into the midget world. He ran Millbridge earlier this year, but he's making his Chili Bowl debut.
I just like the fact that we get to call him the high side tickler.
We get to say it all week.
Kyle Strickler, best nickname in motorsports.
Brought his tire guy from the late model and modified world, Cody Klein, with him up from North Carolina. JT Andriotti is in the Spike Chassis House car for Chili Bowl this year.
It's an excellent ride for Andriotti, who continues to climb the ladder of the open wheel world. Andriotti, no fear of car or other driver. He will stick the nose in at any point in time, doesn't matter.
Troy Betts, 22B, Middletown, Delaware.
One of the tallest guys you're going to see climb in and out of a race car anywhere. He is a lanky 6'3", 6'4". There's
Checkered flag comes out.
another look at Brooks in the 57 to finish this off for us. Well, Connor, it feels like our day is done here in the booth, at least for the time being.
It does. Saw a lot of cars take to the racetrack today. Thought the racetrack looked really good. Good way to start the week. All the drivers I talked to in the pits were happy about it. Saw some fast cars on track, and practice day is going to wrap up pretty soon, and we get to go racing and start the journey to crowning a Chili Bowl champion.
So the cameras are going to stay live here for the final 13 segments, although they're going to go to static cam on us. A reminder, we're back live with you with our coverage tomorrow of day one of the Chili Bowl at 3:45 p.m. Central Standard Time for night number one of the Chili Bowl Nationals. These cameras will stay live, and you will continue to watch the rest of practice, or on the Flow Racing tile, you can flick right over because opening ceremony is getting ready to get up, launch, and go at Votto for the Wild West Shootout. So you can come right from midgets practicing to the Wild West Shootout. We encourage you to do so. For the staff and crew here at the Chili Bowl Nationals, all the Flow Racing production team, Earl Hoon, Connor Wade, my name is Caleb Hart. We will see you tomorrow afternoon, 3:45 p.m. Central Standard Time for your Monday edition of the 38th Annual Chili Bowl Nationals. Good night, everybody.